searching, though I don't know how. There was a time I used to know. I lost my bearings long ago. And all this time, well, it's my imagination, my fading inspiration that dances in my mind. And it's a crime. Only my imagination, my own interpretation should lead me down this road, and I know where to go. To find my travels as you can.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Speculate listeners, and of course, welcome, Argonauts on the Twitch channel. Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of Rebel Crown. It is great to see everybody here. I hope everyone had a pleasant week, a pleasant Friday. Welcome to, as we record this, April 30th, 2021, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and I hope everyone is doing okay and is looking forward to what I expect to be a really fun session today. Before I introduce everybody, or rather, before I allow the GM to introduce everybody, I do want to remind everybody about ways to support us here on the channel. First of all, for the Speculate folks, thank you so much, as always, for supporting us on the Speculate Patreon, and you can find out more about that with !Speculate. That's really important because we're trying to be able to ramp up and do more campaigns and more shows like this and offer more stuff and all that kind of good business. And to do that, we need the support from all of you. So if you've already provided that support, thank you. And if not, please consider doing so. Please let people know about this channel, about this show in particular, and please let them know about the 2 shows that we have running right now, which are, of course, the longer running now Blades in the Dark, Case of the Cindered Seal with Brandon O'Brien as GM, and of course the current session that we're doing tonight, which is episode 3 of Rebel Crown, which is going to be a lot of fun. So please let them know about that, and if anyone wants to jump on board, you can get behind the scenes stuff at Speculate and so forth by supporting the Patreon there, so please consider jumping over there. As far as my channel is concerned, always the standard ways to support us are appreciated. Please follow this channel. Please check out our YouTube at !ArvTube, where there is, by the way, a dedicated Speculate video playlist. Discord, !Arvcord, is the Discord channel for the Argonauts, where people hang out in between streams. Arv Tweets is the Twitter, which allows you to follow me, and I always tweet when we're going live and stuff like that. You can also find a link over there to our Speculate Twitter, and please follow the Speculate Twitter as well, plus my fine co-hosts Mike Underwood and Brandon O'Brien also. And you can find all of that on the website for this, arvaneleron.com. Website for Speculate is speculatesf.com. On the financial side, I've already talked about Speculate's Patreon. I'll mention mine very briefly. !Arv is my channel's Patreon, which supporting is definitely appreciated there. Arv Shop is the merchandise area where you can get stuff relating to some of the shows that we do on this channel. And of course, you can subscribe to this channel to get awesome sub badges and emotes and things like that. Thank you very much to Brahms for resubbing during the pre-show roll. We appreciate that very much. And good to see you, Brahms. And so we got that going on as well. And of course, as always, on the publishing side, Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel. Icarus now, of course, has been nominated for, is one of the finalists in both the Independent Book Publishers Award, the Book Publishers Association Benjamin Franklin Award for Best Graphic Novel of 2020. We will know about whether it won or not in the next 2 weeks. But also, we have just found out that Icarus has been nominated for the Midwest Book Awards as well, and is a finalist in that category also. So that's very exciting, and if you want to find out more about that, as that is going to be heading out into print form very shortly for non-Kickstarter folks, that is Icarus. Greyshade KS is my Greyshade Kickstarter. Athos Arts, which publishes Icarus, is also going to be publishing Greyshade very shortly, within the next couple of months or so, and then the Kickstarter for the rest of the Greyshade universe is going to be late summer, early fall, so that's going to be very exciting. And you can find out more about that with Greyshade KS and Library Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment, which is doing the tabletop side of the Greyshade Kickstarter coming up later this year. Otherwise, the only other thing I need to mention, as always, is BLM, Black Lives Matter. Very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives, never been more important than right now, in fact. And exclamation point, help now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others if they need help, and to reach out to others if you need help as well. One quick note on channel schedule, we've got Rebel Crown tonight. Tomorrow is the first day of May, and we will be doing some Neverwinter Nights 2 complete tomorrow evening. As for the rest of May, I will get that sort of laid out, and folks will have a tentative schedule by early next week, but I have not put together the May schedule as of yet, other than Saturday, which is Neverwinter Nights 2 complete. But I do want everyone to mark their calendars, because at the end of the month, coming up May 28th, 29th, and 30th, and possibly the 31st too, we have got the 7th annual ARVCon to benefit the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation, and it looks like my co-host for Speculate may be prominently involved in this event, not to mention that we will have a concert and giveaways and a bunch of tabletop games and a whole bunch of stuff. So you want to mark that calendar, because that is really important, and we want to raise a bunch of money to fight this dread disease this year. With that said, I am now going to unmute myself and apologize for interrupting anybody over there that I may have done. And I am going to now unmute them, and I am now going to fire up a little bit of music here. Let me make sure that I can do that quickly. Yes, okay. I'm going to fire up a little bit of music and allow our GM to speak a little bit about what is to come. After you.
A letter bears the seal of House Gearr, a white hare. To my splendid sister, I hope that the last chills of winter have fled from the shining seat of Talon Perch, and that the spring brings new hope for the kingdom. It is with a heavy heart that I write with news that my beloved child has been taken by the heretic Ciaran. Aiden and I have had our difficulties in seeing eye to eye, but she is my blood and the future of Whitebeam. Whether the heretic is newly returned or has been lying in wait in the woods somewhere, I do not yet know. One of my men is dead, and the other spoke through terror of the heretic's plot. He was threatened and beaten by the disgraced General Crace, and saw the former royal executioner snuff the life from my loyal man Rurik with unholy speed. The heretic has gathered an entourage of failures and monsters, but we will not fear. Your letters tell me that the royal army is not yet ready to march, so I pray the God of Paths will deliver us a subtler recourse. I will not sit idly by as the worshipper of nameless idols torments my child, and so have employed the repentant Sluach to retrieve Aiden before word of her capture can spread. I would be eternally grateful for swift action and assistance from the Perch to safeguard the future of our father's name. If Ciaran wishes to wage a blasphemous rebellion, we will show them that the good fortune they enjoyed in surviving Maedoc's rise was a mercy that will not be offered again. For the glory of Crobhan, I remain your devoted sister, Lady Brianna Gearr, from our family's ancestral lands in Whitebeam. Hey everybody, welcome to Splendor and Shadow episode 3. This is our Rebel Crown actual play show. Rebel Crown is a game by Michael Dunn O'Connor and Narrative Dynamics. And I am very happy to be your GM. So I will we'll do a short round of introductions for all of our players to briefly reintroduce themselves and remind us just a little bit about their character for this game. And Greg, would you like to go first this time?
Sure. I'm happy to be the first monster up and failure to be described. I'm happy to do what I can. So hi, everybody. My real name is Gregory Wilson. I am a college professor and author and co-host of Speculate, our long-running show, which I co-host with dear friends Mike Underwood and Brandon O'Brien. I obviously run this channel under the moniker Arvanelleron, which focuses on story and narrative. And in this game, I am playing Venner Crace, a Vengeant, not a Vengeant. I mean, there's no other Vengeant. I am the Vengeant against House Lolaire and cousin to Ciaran Lolaire. And I just want to point out that you've heard why we are all, allied against this piece of garbage, this current occupier of land that they should not possess, when all we did was just go and grab their kid. I mean, I don't understand why this is such a, I don't understand what the problem is. But in any case, I am deeply loyal to Ciaran and deeply committed to getting the bloody tyrant Maedoc and showing him his own head, while simultaneously putting Ciaran back on the throne where they belong. That's me.
All right, Brandon.
Hi, that's me. Hello, everyone. I am Brandon O'Brien, pronouns he, him, or they, them. I'm a writer, poet, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago. I am also the co-host of Speculate, alongside my friends Gregory Wilson and Michael R. Underwood. I will be playing in this game Rowan Byrne, the Outlaw, one of the aforementioned failures. Perhaps the only person in this entourage who is a genuine failure. Who is...
That's the part you're mad about, right? It's the fact that how dare you refer to other people as failures. I'm the only actual failure.
Like, deal with me. I have I have a responsibility to my own errors, but don't bring everybody else into
Pick on someone your own error.
Who is a member of this retinue in order to atone for a grave error and assassination that I made that led to Maedoc's rise to power and the mess of a royal situation that the lands are presently in.
Cool. DongWon, if you can go next.
Yeah, hi, I'm DongWon Song. I'm a literary agent, and I am playing here Harvest Honeysuckle, who is the former royal executioner and, in theory, the royal executioner for the current claimant. My class is I'm playing as the Devoted, and I am absolutely the monster that was described on that list, although if you think I'm a monster, that probably means you have it coming.
Cool. And last but not least, Alex.
I'm Alex Acks. My pronouns are they, them. And I am indeed playing everybody's favorite heretic, Splendour Ciaran Lolaire, who just wants their rightful throne back because Maedoc is a douche. And it's his fault and all of these false gods that we have a wraith problem. I'm a writer and a geologist. And yeah, that's the important part is the heresy. And these are all of my failures and monsters.
So that is our retinue. As indicated, I'm Michael R. Underwood. I'm going to be GMing. I do novels and essays and this wonderful actual play show with Greg and Brandon, which has been a great source of joy for me, especially when it is very difficult to see humans that I know and like in the world. Instead, I get to see humans that I know and like through a glowing screen. So we're going to do our best to make a fun and dramatic evening for y'all who are watching. I want to give a special shout out to all of our subscribers and supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/speculate. All of those funds right now go to paying our great audio editor, Rudy Basso, on the audio episodes. Right now we're focusing on the Case of the Cindered Seal, the game that Brandon GMs, which has been very fun, has different but also great energy, lots of chaos energy over there in Duskwall. We are going to be returning to the Kingdom of Crobhan. A quick recap for everyone who was watching and is playing. That last session was downtime, and that downtime included quite a lot of trying to put wraiths to rest out in the Sedgelands, which is the region of the kingdom that you're in. There was some good success in laying a lot of wraiths to rest using silver and prayer, but some unfortunate entanglement solace rolls, aka Indulge Vice, if you know Blades specifically, that analog, which led to some entanglements, which led to some additional unrest. So there are fewer wraiths around, but the ones that are more aggressive, and that's making some problems for everybody here. But word will get around that it is the retinue who put a lot of these wraiths to rest. We had some consultation between Venner and Rowan about how to put together a disguise involving some fish guts. And Venner went up to the royal, kind of the royal seat at Talon Perch, the kind of space between Talon Perch and Hawthorne, to try to find some young soldier to kind of impart wisdom. That did not go super well. The soldier was not really into it. It was kind of a long and hard, not super fun trip for Venner. Rowan had, I think, a happier trip up to Salt Crag, to the hideout of the Fenag Witches, to see their old friend Roz. And we left kind of the door open to a acquire asset roll for Rowan to flashback to as needed, to be some other thing that Roz or one of the other witches would be able to get. We also had a surprising midnight midnight conversation or kind of heart-to-heart between Harvest and Ciaran, when Harvest seemed to have a bit of guilt or some other feelings, and the two of them talked about prayer and kind of how to deal with guilt. And so Harvest is making a concerted effort to kind of broadening their knowledge of these heresies that Ciaran is sharing, and how to do some of that. And there was also some discussion with Drosten and elsewise about what to do with their captive / hostage, Aiden Gearr, who is the sole heir to the lesser House Gearr in Whitebeam. House Gearr is kind of a very schemy, politicky house, and the current queen, Fiona Gearr, is from that house, and Brianna is kind of the current leader of the lesser part of that house. But Fiona will not pass on the Gearr name, and that's why Brianna needs an heir, and why Aiden is such a great hostage. Aiden is currently in the court of Prince Drosten, the self-styled bandit prince, and we return to our retinue in their kind of woodland cottage, not too far outside of Bell Heather. Is there anything else folks want to recap or touch on real quick to remind ourselves before we start moving forward?
I think that covers everything.
There was also a poem by Rowan that seemed to make the rounds a bit more than maybe they were hoping, which also drew some unrest because we had some unlucky rolls. But y'all have very, very little stress, so that's nice.
At least we are not very stressed.
Not a failure, no stress.
So if it's okay, I would pitch that we start with Ciaran, kind of, and see Ciaran and Maisie getting Ciaran ready for the day. Maisie is Ciaran's maid / attendant. The retinue does not have much staff, but Maisie is among them. Maisie is kind of a short, kind of a blonde woman of low birth, but with very clever hands and good ears for listening. What is Ciaran's mood this morning after kind of some weeks of recovery and planning?
I think very hopeful, because we are making inroads on the Wraith problem, and we're just looking for our opportunity to go have a chat with House Gearr. I mean, not Gearr.
Sagain.
Sagain. Thank you. I'm great with names.
The duplication of the G sound is a little tricky, and I absolutely have mixed the two up, so we'll just all try to do our best.
I'm going to write myself a note right now.
Gearr rules with fear. Sagain rides on the plane.
Mainly
or something.
In Spain.
Mainly on the plane.
Oh God, why?
See, I'm just doing it a lot more simply. We're just doing.
Sure. So that's Gearr equals dicks. Sagain equals friends? Question mark.
That's how we're gonna remember that. All right. So, I mean, I think the thing that's kind of nebulous right now is how we're going to get to Sagain, because we've got something that they want, but they don't necessarily know that we have it or that it's on offer. But we do know about their mercenary history, so they do seem like the kind of people that might want to make a deal.
So I can talk just a little bit about Sigane's situation. House Sigane rules from a small keep in the coastal hills, but the most profitable holding is the town of Belheather. So I think if we are looking at the map, that keep is probably somewhere along here. If I can, yeah. If y'all see the blue circle on Roll20, kind of at that bump.
Okay.
So it's north up the road a decent bit from Belheather, but probably not even a full day's ride. So it is close enough to govern Belheather directly, but it's not also set up in such a way that it can super effectively keep Drostan's bandits at bay, because they are still managing to be a thorn in Sigane's side. So have you all already had kind of further discussions about how you're going to do this, or how is Ciaran going to approach this challenge of getting word out to Sigane?
So we've been here for a few weeks. I have been continuing to do Wraith stuff, because what else am I going to do in my spare time? I don't have, a court to manage or any other important decisions to make while I think about this. What is the general attitude of the common people towards Skane?
I think that Sigane is not any better or worse loved. I think a downside for Sigane is that they are not an established noble house. So they don't have the thing of, oh, well, the Siganes have always taken care of us. They took care of my parents and their parents before them. They are recently raised nobility. They are vassals to House Tarv, which is kind of largely involved in kind of the mercenary business of the kingdom. But Sigane is not super established. They probably have some local connections and affection, because if anyone is going to keep the merchants and travelers safe from Drostan, it's Sigane, and they're the only ones who are really in a position to try.
Okay, so everyone's kind of like, well, I guess they're all right. They're not running around and throwing people off cliffs or doing terrible things. They're just sort of there, and we pay our taxes, and they mostly leave us alone, so that's all right.
And their rep is not really established yet, right? I mean, like they not in a broad way with the people or with the people around them, because they are fairly new, right? So
I think they're gonna be kind of folded into that umbrella about what people think about House Tarv, which is House Tarv is a strong old house with a lot of access to military power.
Okay.
Okay, which is also probably, since we've been seen around and haven't, been playing like super secret spies, might be why they haven't come looking for us yet, because if they're not that deeply connected with the community, people aren't necessarily going to run off to them immediately and tattle. Okay. I'm just trying to decide is, do I want to send them a letter, or do I want to get them to come to me? Be like, hi, I'm here. Aren't you curious?
Thinking about the XP prompts of the game, I would kind of then prompt, what are things you could ask of your retinue that might achieve your goals here, as you have a kind of a woodland outlaw, a royal executioner, and a vengeant general.
Well, I mean, obviously, my man on point here is actually going to be my vengeant general, because we're going to go deal with fancy people. Sorry, Rowan and Harvest. I didn't think you'd be offended.
Oh, I wouldn't be offended at all. It would be a terrible decision, I think, to bring a Slovak to a professional conversation where nobody expects to die in their sleep, I think.
Yeah.
One thing I would give, and this is probably something that Venner or Rowan would know, because Sigane are elevated mercenaries, they do value martial prowess.
So I
Can
guess
ask
a thing.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Just very quickly, a thing that would probably clarify that is, do they value that prowess in terms of pure might and the tactics, or do they also value like what is essentially military sleight of hand? Like, are they going to trust an assassin as much as they trust a warrior?
They might not trust you as much, but they might reckon you to be a serious factor. Like Sigane's military history is more, they show up, they put in the work, they have the skill to win the fights, even against some margins. They do not have a reputation of being exceptionally sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But DongWon, you had something?
Yeah. Hey, GM, is there any chance they're going to have a big jousting tournament anytime soon?
I would say that because of the timeline in this game, and because it could be fun, if y'all are interested, we could definitely have there be some kind of, I think the way that Sigane would frame it is kind of like as an invitational, because they're recruiting people. They have to fill out their house guard, and there's all those bandits in the woods, and they're going to be much more active. So if you wanted there to
anyone want to steal some invitations to this invitational and show up disguised as other knights and fight some dudes?
I was thinking, and then when whoever wins, when they try to recruit you, it's your turn to recruit them. Like, we invite you to join us.
No, I'm inviting you to join.
Yeah. I like it. Good idea. Good idea.
It's a good way to get in the room with them,
Although,
I mean,
it's also a good way to get in a cage with them. I mean, this feels like very, very McTrappy trap face is what this feels like to me.
It's bold. This is the Anthro Robin Hood plot.
I was gonna say,
Well,
I'm getting
obviously.
like a Robin Hood archery contest vibe. Except as far as we know, Sigane is not hunting for us.
Yeah,
which is the difference.
Like, I turn to Venna while this conversation is taking place. I just turn to Venna and say, this is a good way to keep our eyes on our splendor, but it's also a very good way to lose an eye.
Or lose a splendor. Because I imagine we're all discussing this, and I would say, I think it's a good idea, and Sigane's probably going to appreciate it if we can be direct with them. But timing is everything here. Actually, one quick question to the GM. So it's been a couple of weeks. Is it reasonable to assume that Sigane will have heard of the abduction of the person who I completely know?
Aiden?
Yes, Aiden.
Yeah.
Our hostage.
Our hostage, the Anne hostage of
hostage.
Aiden. Would they know at this point that Aiden has been taken?
I think that you can be pretty confident that that's the case, and Harvest and Rowan are likely to be able to overhear kind of scuttlebutt enough to confirm that.
Okay. So
I guess the question is it being made public that my people took them, or is it just someone took them because we don't want to publicly admit that the deposed ruler is back?
Yeah, it's the rumors are like it's kind of a spread of rumors that includes the truth, right? It's Aiden ran away. Aiden has found a secret beloved and gone off to marry someone from the neighboring kingdom. It's like Aiden has been taken by the heretics, demon gods. Like but the Aiden is
That's the
Aiden
true
is
one.
gone. Core has made it to the Sedgelands, and the Saganes would have heard it.
So if we're going to do something like this, we do it either because we're intending a show of strength, or because we want to impress Sagane enough to let them know that we are a force to be reckoned with and they need to talk to us about what we're going to discuss with them regarding exchanges of information and hostages, or to force the other houses around into a mistake. The problem is whether Sagane, finding us, decides that they haven't gone enough down the line to throw their lot in against House Lolaire, and so we are an easy way to get back into Lolaire's good graces. That's my concern. But if you're in favor of taking the direct approach, I certainly am willing to approach it that way.
My concern would be with the approach itself. We can't all fight. Well, we can, but we mustn't. If we get encircled by all of Sagane's gods without an exit route besides jousting our way through them, we will be overrun and we will suffer very dearly for it. So we need, if this is a decision we're making, we're essentially picking the one fighter who we're both confident will win a joust and who we're, unfortunately, willing to sacrifice if things get sour and we'll have to flee.
So
Venner, right?
I cross my my arms and I slowly turn in the direction of Harvest and just like.
So do I.
Harvest is already pointing at you though, so Harvest is pointing at Venner, being like,
I mean, so
he knows that horse stuff.
I would respond and I would say, I'm certainly capable of doing something with jousting. As far as whether I'm worth sacrificing, that's up to the Splendour, and I suppose the rest of you. What I'm wondering about is, we'll need someone who can fight while others are gathering information that they need around the edges. At some point, I turn back to Ciaran, I assume you would want to be able to use this opportunity to make contact with House Sagane, yes?
That is the idea.
So, if we're going to do that, the question is, as you said before, on their terms or on ours. I don't know whether a contest like this is more on our terms if we win it, or I suppose on their terms if they lose it, but I'm certainly willing to joust, and I'll do my best to represent our interests on the battlefield as well as you will off of it.
Well, I respect the strength that all of you have as fighters. I think of the three of you, Venner, you are most prepared to negotiate.
And
I would much quicker bet on Harvest in a fight.
I mean, if it was purely fighting and then not having to, speak quickly with a noble house afterwards, I would send Harvest. But I need you to be able to both fight and talk.
I look with a
what happens
slight
at the
edge
end
of
of this
smugness at Rowan. Sorry, I just look slightly smugly at Rowan.
Like, I put my hands up and go, not that you can't hold your own, but I'm thinking primarily of someone who can sacrifice some blows to the head.
Oh, well, I don't disagree with that. Looking over at
As for me, my job is essentially laid out for me. I'm the best out of the three of us at picking pursed lips for information, and I can't very well take a dagger to a joust.
So my question for you, do we know if this is actually like a joust, like traditional medieval horseback,
Or is it like
they're different,
like a fighting tournament, or like is it Mortal Kombat?
I think
It would be hilarious if you don't find out until we get there. That it just says a fight will happen, and then you get there, and we have to like dance around a maypole or something. With that,
I think
we're gonna be like,
there, it's
a
like
fight will
facts.
happen,
Yeah.
and we send Venner in on his horse, and then it's like some guy shooting fireballs out of his hands, and you're like, oh, we need Harvest.
Yeah, or just like it's backstab cut purse day. Like, oh god, son of a.
I didn't read the flyer.
Yeah. Oh, that's every alternate Saturday. God.
Like the armed melee or armed tournament on foot is probably the biggest event, because they are recruiting soldiers and like people at arms for the house. Most commoners cannot afford, and they can't afford a horse or the material to maintain a horse to be a mounted warrior.
Right.
So like any given person who's served in some other mercenary company or whatever that wants to become a sworn sword of Ciaran, they're probably going to be presented that way. And so that has the lowest barrier to entry, because it's the thing where they're actively trying to bring the people in the most. There's absolutely a archery section. If you want a mounted combat element, I think that's probably more that's a noble status gathering thing, where they've invited young knights from around the kingdom for a jousting tournament, and that's probably the social like capstone to this tournament. But
well, do we want to try and enter Venner into the jousting and Harvest into the melee?
That's what I'm thinking.
You know, not to metagame a little bit, Harvest is very much built for exactly this situation.
Yeah.
Between Force Multiplier, I can engage small gangs, and also I get bonuses to desperate actions. So fighting a whole bunch of people on their own is sort of what Harvest is kind of for.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's better to have two opportunities than one. Mm-hmm. What we can do, since Harvest is not, his negotiation is not among his skill sets, I will write a letter for them to carry.
Yeah, and I think,
can I just bring you in as my negotiating agent? Be like, if you want to hire me, you need to consult with this person.
Please speak with my lawyer.
So I think Venner and Ciaran, you know that with something like this, the noble hosts frequently invite the winners to dine at the head table with them.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally writing a letter for Harvest to carry.
You realize that the end of this, right, involves like the winner. Now that you've all won the winners of the two competitions must fight each other. Like, oh no, that is the dramatic
Mortal Kombat.
Venner Harvest, throw down.
Finish them.
And Kieran's like, well, crap, that's not.
So
I do have one question though. Is it likely that House Ciaran would have known? I mean, am I? Well, either one of us, because Harvest was the royal executioner. Like, would Harvest or Venner be known at public? Like, are we all going to do the sort of the masked man type of thing until the last second? Or because otherwise I have this image of them being like, wait a minute, because I'm not just some private, right? Like, I was the former general and Harvest was the former royal executioner. You'd think someone might know that, right? I mean, again, that may not be a problem. Maybe we want people to know, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think if you're going to show up with full jousting kit, that is going to be identifiable to anyone with a history in the kind of the armed noble world.
I'll just put a sheet of oak tag over the symbol so they can't actually see. And we're like, oh no,
duct tape, just cover it with duct tape.
Yeah.
So I think for either of you, some form of disguise could be wise if you want to control when you are recognized.
I mean, I do feel like controlling that moment is because, I mean, first, there is the for dramatic effect, but if actually a dramatic effect kind of helps, because you're like, they can be like, who was that masked person who like cut a swath of bloody destruction through everyone else?
Yep.
Oh, it's someone who hangs out with the claimant. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I mean, I think if we're going to get you in, it is going to have to be under disguise, because Ciaran might not be immediately like, oh, we're going to go tattle to the king, but I bet there will be some people there who would.
Yep.
Yep.
So at this point, I will.
So you know, just pretend you have like a religious vow of silence or something. It'll be fine.
Just joust
I'll
casual.
loop
Just
around to
casual.
approaches and details. So this sounds like it could be deception, possibly infiltration.
We're great at that.
That's because they're great.
So method of cover is the detail you need for deception. So that's disguises. I recall that a certain outlaw has a banked acquire asset that they may be able to use for something in this sortie, should they be so inclined.
Oh, right, yes.
Ooh, who thought it would come in handy so soon?
So this is particularly interesting then, because I got this, like, I acquired this asset from Roz.
Oh.
So this might be in some level enchanted. Cool, that's going to be brilliant.
I think if you were to use that acquire asset to be a disguise, we would roll to see the asset's tier, and that would determine how effective it was as a disguise. If you roll well and it's tier 2 equivalent, then it will be a much more powerful disguise, and that will kind of represent the efficacy of whatever enchantment or crafting, right? If you wanted to take that approach.
I could see a case for diplomatic too, of getting an introduction to this contest.
Right, because
above board, right?
The other thing is that you have the sortie objective as well as the detail, or as well as the approach. So the objectives are gain status, weaken faction, seize, vassalize, or pillage.
Vassal?
Isn't it gain? Well, I guess it's not gain status.
Maybe gain status. Yeah.
So the difference there is you end a gain status sortie when the relationship with the target faction is decisively improved.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely what we're doing.
Gain the target as a vassal. It ends when the faction swears fealty to the claimant.
Well,
so the result you need is higher with vassalize. So any clock that I set for completing the mission would be a larger clock if it were vassalize versus gain status.
I think what we actually just want at this point is gain status, because trying to vassalize them from this standpoint is ridiculous. And unless we already had an idea that like they'd really kind of like to come hang out with us,
right?
Not going to happen. This is just so that we can get in the door, find out what they want, offer them the tasty hostage, and maybe like do another thing for them so that they will be willing to vassalize. So this is step 1 out of like 3 or 4.
Right. You also have, I decided last session that because you completed that slaying wraiths clock, that you can take a +1 in status with a faction in this province. What that would look like is socially claiming responsibility for having done that work.
Oh. But if we're
I think that's the idea.
Yeah, if we're going to do that, then because if we want to talk like maximum public pressure and sort of dramatic moments, it's to do the things we've been talking about. It's for Harvest and Venner to do their jobs and get to where they need to go. And then it's at a certain point to reveal Ciaran, who's like, guess who's been handling the Wraith situation here for you? You know, like that's the super like, oh, damn, you know, then. And by that point, we have this audience of people that will then spread to the 4 winds, not just into the Sedgelands, right? And we'll tell everyone like, oh, this awesome thing went down. So
look, if
that's
I was
cool.
capable of orchestrating this completely, at the dramatic moment, a Wraith would fucking show up and I would lay it to rest in front of everybody. Unfortunately, I am not quite that good, but
I mean,
yeah.
The only one who could have put me to rest is Ciaran, Splendour of Lolaire.
My Splendour, would you like me to kill someone and then you could put that Wraith to the rest?
I would rather you not put yourself in a position where you
Rowan
could be
is
in
like
that sort of trouble publicly.
actively putting their hands up. No. Rowan is like, that would be the worst possible idea.
And
all we need people to know is that a Wraith has been taken care of. Yeah. If they learn how, everything goes downhill.
But I just want to say, Rowan was starting to do this, and then he realizes to Harvest, this doesn't help. Like, don't do that.
Like, this is not.
No.
This is
like,
not
don't do this.
Like,
Yeah.
Doing this to an executioner?
Yeah, that's not
I'm
what you
just
want.
like this, like
We call that the go sign, you know? Like, yeah.
Oh man.
Oh God.
This is going to be amazing. No, I if one happens to be around at the time, that would be one thing. I doubt it would happen, but I would rather not create any more problems for anyone.
Yes.
That's
Also,
dramatic.
don't let anyone catch you praying. You
Yeah.
might die.
I could see corral a wraith as the first of a linked plans situation, but that adds some major complexity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think our plan is already complex enough. We do not need to make it even more of a stage show.
I think becoming Ghostbusters would take a very long time.
I mean, I think just revealing, yes, it was I who have laid all those wraiths to rest in a hopefully convincing way, so people aren't like, no, you're not. Yes, I am.
What? No.
My friend saw me do it.
I mean, a good way to earn that trust, I imagine, is if our two fighters acknowledge themselves as here in the service of the Wraith Killer.
Yes. Dramatically. The Wraith Killer. You know.
Maybe not that name, but
No, Wraith Killer is not.
No, the Wraith.
From a marketing perspective, it just doesn't work because you can't kill that which is already dead.
Right? I know.
Is it something with silver?
Wraith Rester, maybe?
The Silver Splendor?
See,
Silver Splendor is good.
Silver Splendor.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is why Mike comes up with all the really good titles.
Silver Splendor.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's,
The Splendor in silver, maybe.
Splendor.
We could work on it. You know, as much as I hate to be theatrical, we could work on a costuming detail since this is part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
While that discussion is happening, I turn to Venner and Harvest and go, I have this cloak. I'm acting on the authority of my witch mother that if either of you were to wear it, it would grant you some manner of costume far more perfect than simply stitched thread. Whichever one of you thinks that you need to be disguised the best and the most can have it for this mission.
Brandon, I will say that if you want to use your acquire asset for these cloaks, that if you get tier 2 or better, you would be able to have 2 cloaks. And if you don't, the retinue could spend a coin and you could have 2 anyway, but they would not be at that higher tier.
Okay.
So that lays out what that looks like in terms of what I'm thinking.
Okay. So how would we roll this?
So when we do acquire asset, you roll the retinue's tier, which is 1. So you would roll 1d as a fortune roll. And on a 1 to 3, it would be tier -1, so tier 0. On 4 or 5, it would be equal to tier 1. On a 6, it would be tier +1. And you would need 2 dice to be able to roll a critical, which would give tier +2.
Is there any way that anyone can assist on this roll, or is it just straight up and down?
I think you could spend a coin to get an extra die rather than to improve the result level, because that's the other thing you can do with downtime is, so if you rolled 1d and got a 1, you could spend 1 coin instead to take it up to tier 1, but then you wouldn't get 2 cloaks. You'd have to spend another coin to get 2 cloaks at tier 1.
Right. So, this is the part where I ask the ultimate risky question that everyone asks in a Forged in the Dark game, which is,
Devil's bargain.
would a devil's bargain intervene in this instance? And if so, what does the devil have planned for me?
I think the kind of poetic devil's bargain would be, I will give you a bonus die, but at some point in the future, when you want to be concealed, you will be revealed. And I will have that as a knife in my belt to deploy against you at some point.
And just to make sure, you mean just Rowan,
Just
nobody
Rowan.
else. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. I'm just going to write something down on my clocks page to be a little knife that I have.
I mean, if anybody's going to suffer that, it would have to be me. I wouldn't do that to anybody else.
Something, yeah.
Okay, so that means that I'm now rolling 2d6. And I rolled a 6 and a 3.
Dang.
Cool. So
Outstanding.
a 6 gives you tier +1. So that would be tier 2. And I said that if you got tier 2, you could have 2 cloaks. So Roz was able to do that. And I think she gives that to you with the caveat that that nothing is free, and to conceal people in this way, there will be a counterbalance that will fall on you. She believes that you can, I believe that you will be clever enough to survive it when it comes, but I cannot guarantee when it will come. As the wheel will turn, the seasons will pass, and the fortune that has been granted to you will come back as a debt to be paid to the wind.
Such as it always is. Thank you very much.
May you bear this debt with grace.
And like I bow in this flashback. Like I'm very, very different to Roz in this moment. Almost less like a child and more like a servant.
Yeah, so you have 2 tier 2 cloaks of disguise. And I think the way that this works is because the thing that seems cool to me, and I'm happy to chat with y'all if you want to do a different way, is that the cloaks just make people not connect what the person looks like to the person the face that they know, the body that they know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that they just don't make that connection. You still
So it's
look
just like me
you.
at a con.
Is it
It's
like the
that
cloak of
face blindness.
Yeah.
The the cloak of check the badge.
Yeah.
the cloak of you look familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have I met you before?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we had dinner 4 times. Oh, my bad.
Oh, you actually like literally represent me. I can't believe that I forgot your name all of a sudden. Oh my god. Hashtag con stories.
Yep.
Oh no.
Conventions. One day we'll return to conventions.
Oh man. I
One
cannot
day.
wait.
So now that we've like exited that flashback, I like lift both of these cloaks up and go. So does anyone have a preference? Because if it can be helped, I'd like to wear one.
And so I'm like,
I could just wear a hat.
well,
Like I squint at Harvest and go, "Are you sure?"
Venner is much more well known among the
Yeah.
nobles than Harvest is among the commoners.
No one's going to expect to see me there. I can just wear a fancy hat.
Fair enough. And I give Venner one of them.
I look at it suspiciously, I think. and
Harvest,
say,
I will loan you my hat. I have a nice hat. I have fancy clothes.
And I believe that subterfuge supplies is on everyone's kit. So if you don't have the cloak, you could use subterfuge supplies. I'm going to say that this cloak is 1 load
Okay.
to wear.
Should we mark this like at the moment, like mark the cloak separately, or do you want us to just check off subterfuge supplies if we have a cloak like me?
I think what I would suggest is to do the little plus button on
Right.
your gear and add tier 2 cloak of concealment, and that it will be 1 box of load. I'm happy to do that on your character sheets because I'm familiar with the layout.
Oh, I started doing
So
it by
I'm
accident.
marking 1 subterfuge supplies for myself. Yes,
Okay.
and that's my fancy hat.
Yep.
And
that
I
can-
think I want to attach like a veil to the hat, basically something that like loosely wraps around my face. Yeah.
It will be enough to create a credible surprise or a credible
Mhm.
disguise at your tier level.
Did you say cloak of concealment tier 2? Like,
Yes.
I am also going to add subterfuge supplies because what I'm thinking is I will, of course, for the moment of reveal, be wearing my fancy clothes, minus my hat, that I have loaned to Harvest. But until then, I'm going to be wearing a cloak, or maybe pretending I'm a monk, or
Right.
anything where people aren't going to look at me.
Right.
Yep. So the other thing I would ask before we do engagement is, does anybody want to do other kinds of legwork or recon? Since we have that space in the kind of play flywheel.
Can I get a beer sort of like near the staging grounds for this melee, and like try and suss out who the other participants in, like who am I up against? I just kind of want to know what the field is, like,
Yeah.
is there anyone in particular I should watch out for? What's like, is there going to be underhanded dirty fighting? I don't know, just trying to get the vibe of what kind of contest I'm walking into here.
Yeah.
I have one consort.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. I would say that can be a fortune roll. It won't need to take a position because you've already established that you've done things like this, and I don't think it is especially conspicuous.
Yeah, I'll just roll that straight up and down. That's a 3.
So you'll get limited information. Mostly what you're hearing is that the entrance to the melee are people who have not made a name for themselves in war.
Mm-hmm.
So It's not really anybody who you would recognize, with one exception. One of the entrants is Colm, who is the head of security for the Bellheather merchants.
Okay.
And so K-Tier is like the person, basically the manager of Bellheather's merchant operation, and Colm is her head of security. And Colm is in the Bellheather merchants cast list.
Can I buy Colm a beer?
Yeah, I think he'd be around, and is probably in whatever tavern you're in is the favorite.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know that we need to make a big scene out of it, but I just like basically to buy him a beer, sit down and chat for a second, and basically wish him good luck tomorrow. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's pretty by the book. Like he's not a noble. He's not actually a man at arms, but he's got like a fairly cool demeanor, confident but not arrogant, and you can tell that he moves with a great deal of control. Like when he puts his beer down, it goes exactly where he wants it to go. Mm-hmm. And because of your experience, I think you can read a little bit of kind of his carriage and that manner.
Yeah, I think, I'll have that drink with him and chat a little bit about, where he's from and sort of make up a little bit of backstory for myself. It's like, I'm a simple farmer looking to make my fortune, and, I'm excited to see what you can do out there, and kind of wink and maybe do finger guns and walk away.
Yeah, I think if the conversation is long enough for it, he would ask your kind of weapon of choice.
I say, on the farm, we would harvest the wheat using these long blades that are kind of blunted at one end and sharp on one side. And so basically I've just brought that with me. It's a good way to reap the fields, I find.
A large weapon like that could serve you well in a melee. I hope that your wrestling is up to snuff should someone get past it.
I wink and say, looking forward to wrestling with you sometime soon.
Well, if we meet on the field, may you acquit yourself well and make a good future.
Well, we can meet wherever you like, I suppose. But
oh my
for
God,
starters, we'll see you on the field.
Yeah, can I get a vibe check on that?
I'm just like, oh damn!
Alex first is
Get
like,
it, Harvest!
Do you want to make another roll?
like,
Do you want me to make another roll? I can make
Like
another
that's like, that's up to you.
roll. I don't think Harvest like has a goal here other than this is just kind of how they are. Like they love hanging out in taverns. They're like flirty, friendly. Like this is the side that we haven't seen that so much of so far. Because like when they're around to claim it, doing official executioner shit, I think they're really like a little bit more serious. But I think this is a thing that they do a lot.
Yeah.
I think their intent is sort of harmless flirting. I don't think they're trying to like start some thing. Although if he was into it, then
Yeah. I think he'll offer like, do you have someone to help you warm up tomorrow?
And say, no, you want to spar a little bit, warm up,
Yeah.
stretch it out.
Find me on the field. We'll start the day off right.
I nod and say, I like it. I'll see you there.
Cool.
I'm dying.
How you doing, Alex?
Oh my God.
I love it so much. I just saw it and already ship it. It's fine.
How does a devoted executioner get intel on potential enemies? They slash them.
mm-hmm.
Nice.
That is not my joke. I'm repurposing it.
I
I've seen
approve,
that
and I'd like to
about
subscribe to
8,000
your
times on
newsletter.
TikTok, so
I
I support
can-
it though.
This I got specifically from Ada Powers at MSPOWAHS. So props to Ada.
Okay.
Excellent. Well done.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Anybody else have recon they want to do before we do engagement?
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you go ahead and go first.
There is. So I would like to see if I could survey the military preparedness around this place, because presumably security is going to be high, and I do have 2 in survey, so I feel like this is a set for that.
Yeah, can you paint me a quick picture of what that looks like when Venner kind of does that? Takes their measure.
So the thing that I'm looking for is I'm kind of scoping out, trying to observe whether there's like obvious, because I assume we're close enough that we could kind of be looking at. This is happening at Bell Heather, right? Is where this is happening? Okay. So I'm assuming
the fields are probably at like the edge of the city.
So I'm assuming that I could therefore see from a decent distance if there are obvious sort of like troops massing. I don't mean like armies, but like, are there more than I would expect in terms of, horse riding in with, men, kind of like, what's the nature of security? How many tents? Do we have other like flags from other houses showing up that we didn't expect? That sort of thing.
Yeah. You can definitely survey with that. I'm going to say being out in the world to do that. And because we've established that Venner is, if you already have the cloak, then you don't have to, you won't have there won't be any risk.
I think I would have the cloak by this point, because I think, it was my sense of it.
So I'll let that turn a controlled roll into a fortune roll.
Okay. Which again is also a circumstance where I'm kind of like also testing out this thing that I don't feel like, I don't know if this damn thing is working. Like I want to make sure that like, is it actually doing what it's supposed to be doing? I imagine actually before I go to do this, I go over to Rowan. I'm like, Rowan, do you know who I am? And I have the cloak up. Obviously you can see me.
So do you think it works to that level?
Because so this is.
I think Venner thinks that. Like I think Venner is, or doesn't know. Venner is just suspicious of this whole. What do? You put it on and then you vanish? Like what?
Because I think what happens, like, because I haven't won mine yet either. I just know that it would be enchanted to some effect.
Right. So
like there is this brief moment where I like can tell that something that Roz has made is being worn by someone in front of me that I cannot tell who they are, and then it just dawns on me, wait a minute, Venner?
I think
good.
What sensory detail kind of comes across as that signature of Roz's magic?
I think the thing that I notice is, and like part of what throws me off about it, in fact, is that um when I got the cloaks the first time, they were not entirely made of a kind of fabric that Roz is very fond of, but like a lot of its fabric is made out of that. And in front of me now, it looks like I can see only like that fabric as part of what Venner is wearing in front of me now, and that's the first thing that I notice because it's also something that Venner wouldn't wear generally. Like somewhere between like a lace and a silk, something very soft and sheer. But I feel like that's also what's doing a lot of the magic work in this instance as well.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so I would see that and I'd be like, all right, I hope this lasts for a while. Which I would assume that after Rowan hears the voice, that might be enough to convince, like, okay.
yeah.
It should last for a bit, General.
Yeah.
But don't take that as encouragement to do something foolish.
Oh, I won't, I say, and I turn and nod and then turn and go to do the survey.
Yeah.
So you said, and I'm sorry for clearly not being up enough on my Rebel Clown / Forge concept. So you said it changes it? Like, so am I not clicking on survey to roll the fortune?
So
like
I was going to say that it was going to be a controlled position so that there was some risk, but because you have the cloak,
okay,
instead of a controlled roll, you can do it as a fortune roll, so there will be no risk.
Okay, so then I am rolling fortune, which means, so I would roll still though 2 dice, right? Because
correct.
All right. And
you could push yourself, get an assist, and or take a devil's bargain if you wanted another die. This will, how well you roll will determine the quality of information you get. So even on a 3 or lower, you will get some information in the way that Harvest got some information
right
about who will be in the field.
Because I've already got 4 stress, and I'm a little like, I have a feeling that in what's about to happen, there's a lot of stress that's about to come my way. So that's feel like, and a devil's bar, I mean, I do want to know this, but I don't know that it's so incredibly important that it, I mean, unless I were to, there's 2 people I could either bring Harvest with me to kind of be like, because Harvest also has a cloak, right? Or no, Harvest does not have a cloak. Sorry, it just has the hat. So that makes the risk thing. So then
Rowan
I would ask.
has the cloak.
So then in that case, I'd actually bring Rowan, because I could at least get a sense of Rowan. Is there something I'm not seeing in terms of like, but wait, over there, the obviously concealed far. I ought to know a lot about this anyway, but I feel like that would make sense. So if Rowan is willing to do an assist, then that would be.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a devil's bargain I would be happy to offer if you're interested in hearing.
All right.
If you take the devil's bargain, Bara is there. She's ridden down to tilt in the joust.
Of course she has. I just, it would have been nice if I had this cloak last session. Can I just say, like, I already freaking ran into Bara. Jesus. All right.
You don't have to take it.
No, I'm not going to take that. I don't want to tempt fate twice. Barra is going to be dealt with, but I don't want to get into
So if Rowan ticks a stress, you'll get a 3rd die there.
Okay.
All right. So I put in the die and then oh wait, I think I did that wrong.
So that's 1 stress or 2. I can't remember.
1 to assist.
Okay, so then I just roll fortune then as 3 dice.
Yeah, it should be roll fortune, number of dice 3, and then put some little bit about recon/survey in there, so we have the record.
Recon survey. Okay. All right. 165.
165. So you're going to get quality information.
Awesome.
So you have this is going to be enough to get a bonus die on your engagement roll, because you have specifics about who is where and what may be easier for getting getting the people who are competing and getting anybody else in the retinue around that security with the least amount of fuss.
Okay.
And you're going to have information that you can create, or we can create together, about specific people that are in the joust, because you see several, like a half dozen tents of minor nobles, second or later children, basically other people of the kingdom of Crobhan who are looking to make a name for themselves.
Okay.
And you recognize the banners. So you would know,
Okay.
okay, well, if there's someone here from, I'm just going to go and kind of remind myself on various houses. If there's someone here from House Nether, that's probably this person.
Okay.
I remember that, the kind of the sworn sword of House Rovan telegraphs when they're going to try to try and kind of hit you at the gorget, and so you have a little bit of information that will put you in a better position for the joust.
So let me ask you this. So that's I love all of that. I have one question about what I see, but I also wanted to ask a question about: is it possible, or can I pitch that it's possible, that I may also find something that surprises me that may be helpful for Harvest? Because I'm thinking that I'm going to have seen some stuff, but also some badass dude or something shows up that I'm like, oh, that guy. And clearly not someone who's going to be jousting, right. And you only bring this person along if you're going to have them in the tournament. I was wondering if I can do that or not. Unless you think that's pushing it too far, which is fine. But
do you have an idea or I would say is, let's build a character who is a House Tarb sworn sword who you fought alongside or possibly during the uprising against. And then you can give Harvest some detail about their capability.
Okay.
So who should this be?
All right. This is, let's see. All right. This person's name is Lavis, Lavis, who was better known as the Man Mountain. And Lavis, the Man Mountain, was well known for being someone that hit like a truck. Well, in ancient terms, hit like a large wagon laden with many goods. Hit like that.
Well, I think House Tarb's sigil is in fact a bull. So
right, perfect. Hit like a bull. But the Man Mountain was well known for could be potentially distracted, and is usually distracted by what they see as like they're used to coming up to, like, most people see the Man Mountain and their reaction was, oh yeah, well, that's dumb. Like there's no, you can't out-man mountain the Man Mountain. Like nobody gets stronger or more bullish than this character. But if instead of that, you can essentially confuse the Man Mountain through awesome skill and, for example, someone who's able to disarm multiple people and knock them off horses. I'm just saying, like, that may be something that may have occurred somewhere in the distant past of this very campaign. If someone can do something like that, it's almost literally valuing style for just a moment over substance, that will usually confuse the Man Mountain and give an opening. But if you try to be, no, I'm the baddest one in the room, no, I'm the baddest one in the room, that's not going to work against the Man Mountain. And I would also pitch to you, Mike, that the Man Mountain is such that if the Man Mountain falls, that immediately generates respect of people around them. And I know this because I myself walk with a limp, right? I walk with a limp because the Man Mountain did this to me once, but not until after I put the bastard down on his back. So I know this guy.
Is that from a joust or from like a battle?
It was from a battle.
Okay.
If it was from a joust, he wouldn't have gotten up again. But it was a battle, and we were evenly matched almost, but put me down, twisted my leg badly, and I still took him down. I think it was the other way around. I put him down first, and then he basically sort of staggered to his feet. So there is mutual respect there. I don't think of this as a dishonorable person. but I do think this is one of those this is one of those assets that you want to neutralize, and the only reason you bring the Man Mountain along somewhere is if you really want to win this competition, which also makes me think, someone really wants to win this. Why? Like, they're not just mailing it in, right?
Yeah. You suspect that the Man Mountain is there to remind everyone that you start here. House Tarb is up here. And so that even while people are being encouraged to show off, the Man Mountain is there to basically set the curve.
Yep. All right. So when I see that, I'm looking around, unless I need to make a roll to do this, but otherwise I'm looking around and I see, because it's very obvious, you're able to see someone who's 6'8" and 270 and, full. I mean, it's not difficult. And so and Rowan is right there, right? So I'm like, oh, Wraith's breath. So, you see that? And I whisper to Rowan, because I imagine that we're like up on a hill. So we're some distance, but we're looking down, and I almost am unconsciously being somewhat quiet.
Yeah, I think the Man Mountain has been granted an augmentation of arms to place a mountain on the banner of the bull that they fly, and it's configured in such a way that indicates that this is a vassal of Tarb, not a noble, but that augmentation is fairly rare.
Okay, so I would point that out, and I'd say, you see that? I can't quite hear you. It's as if you're so quiet. You're almost silent to me.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Keeping secret.
The large one?
Mm-hmm. But the banner, look at the banner.
That's Tarv.
And a vassal right below. That's the symbol of him. That's the bleeding Man Mountain, that is.
That's the Man Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Why, perchance, would this exceptionally large individual, who is apparently a vassal of Tarv, be here in the first place?
That's an excellent question. But the only reason you bring the Man Mountain around is not for subtlety. You bring him to send a message to everyone else to try to give up.
And I turn to Venna, mildly worried. I go, are you sure you want to be around to receive that message when it's sent?
And so I look and I say, at first I sound like I'm not answering, because I sort of turn slightly away and I say, we need to tell Harvest this. And then I look back over my shoulder as if then answering, and I kind of consciously move my weaker leg around, and I sort of put my, clap it with my hand, and I look back at Rowan and I say, I already got the message from the Man Mountain some time ago. It's time that I return the message to him. And then I kind of would turn my back on the field, and I would say, all right, we need to go tell the others that the stakes have just been raised.
Cool.
And I nod, and just give a glance again to that station, just to gain one more piece of information if possible, very briefly, which is outside of what we've already learned in the context of the contest itself. If there's anything else there that might indicate to me in particular a potential threat to our Splendor's life.
I will let you roll something to do that.
Okay.
So what action would you be taking?
I think it would have to be survey.
I would let you roll hunt here if you wanted as well.
I mean, I do have 2 dots in hunt. Hunt would be nice, yes.
Okay. So with a cloak, it's going to be a fortune roll, so you can just roll it there. You're welcome to push or any of the other things as applicable. But I have some things in mind for an answer to that.
I want to hear, what does the devil have planned for me?
The devil's bargain for this is that you see that the archery competition is being sponsored by the Sloch.
Oh man.
Oh my God! Everyone's here.
Well, crap.
Well, shit, is Maedoc gonna show
I
up?
was gonna say. Also, Maedoc is the what the.
Son of a bitch!
Mike's like, I'm tired of this
narratively
campaign, so we're
juicy.
just gonna wrap this up now and just,
As narratively juicy as it would be for all of us to arrive at this event in episode 3 of this campaign and then just be surrounded by everybody who wants to kill us, I feel like that would be too big a risk right now. So
Okay.
I will just roll my 2d6.
It's like episode 3 of the Falcon the Winter Soldier. Thanos shows up randomly, like everyone in the world just like, and they're like, that's it. That's your mini
If I get
three episodes.
one juicy devil's bargain every episode, I'll be happy. Like that's fine.
Oh, yeah, definitely,
I got one good one. Like
Yeah. Even if we
Not
never
today,
take it,
Satan.
even if we never take it, at least our entire audience knows exactly how cruel you are.
uh-huh.
Exactly.
So I am going to push myself though. So that's 2 stress. And I'm going to roll 3d6. Let me do this fortune roll thingy. Where's the fortune roll button?
Just do /roll 3d6.
Fortune roll is below friends.
Yeah, it's actually on the sheet. You can.
Okay.
211.
Good lord!
Well.
Okay. So I gain nothing of value.
So you get limited information. I think what you see is that there are archers practicing, and more of those archers have better bows than you would expect from a open call contest.
I think I would probably also have hesitated. Like I'd noticed that Rowan was hesitating looking back, and I'd be something like, what is it?
I pause for a moment. Then I turn around to join Venna as we descend this hill. I just say very softly underneath my, almost underneath my breath, but clearly enough so Venna can hear it. I think someone else has a message in store, but I'm not sure who.
Wonderful. Everyone's talking to everyone these days.
Let's just hope we don't lose our ears hearing it.
I kind of nod. Camera zooms up.
When you guys come back to camp, do you tell Harvest about what you guys have seen?
I sure do.
Oh yeah,
I'm
we
assuming
spill all
both
the
do.
beans. I tell you everything. I specifically wax poetic about the fact that I don't know how these people got such expensive bows out of nowhere.
And I would definitely focus on telling Harvest about Lavis, which I'm gonna guess Harvest has probably heard of already. I mean, not that Lavis is here, but that knows about Lavis. And I'd just be like, I saw the Man Mountains there with them, and is a vassal of House Tarv on top of it, literally on their banner, no less.
Man Mountain, you say?
Mm-hmm.
I bet I
Lives
could
up to
climb
the name very physically.
What did you say, Harvest?
I bet I could climb that.
You might.
And then they go up and go to bed.
I just so he walks off to the tent, and I'm just slowly shaking my head, and I'm kind of like,
So rude.
on, and
Alex,
I take my
sorry,
clothes, like turn around.
Alex, did
Yes.
you have a recon you wanted to do?
So I feel like my part, since everyone has gone and done the intelligence work, was when we do the reveal, I want to look good, because while I am serious about all of this ruler stuff, that also means that I understand how much of his fucking theatrics.
Sure.
Yup.
So if we're gonna be leaning into this like silver splendor thing, I need some kind of like, something more impressive in silver than just like my little silver knife.
Mhm.
So
if you could spend a coin to get an extra downtime action to acquire an asset, to get like finer costuming or finer clothes. If you just make a roll, I think it will have less effect, because you wouldn't have as much of the materials to do something with, and it would just be it'd probably be you and Maisie staying up all night sewing.
So I think I will, because a lot is riding on this. What I actually want, if I can get it, is I want a silver chain.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say I could imagine a tier 0 to tier 2 range of silver chain. So if you spend 1 coin, you roll 1d for the retinue's tier, and a 6 will get you tier 2, a 1 to 3 will get you tier 0, and 4 or 5 will get you tier 1 for the chain. And then that you put onto your sheet for this sortie, and its tier will inform how much it impacts effect.
Okay, is there anything I can do to make sure it's, to get another dice?
You could spend another coin to get an extra die, or when you
How many coin
roll.
do we even have?
So you have 2 right now.
Yeah, I don't want to spend all of our coin on that. That would be kind of dumb.
I come back to Ciaran. So I was thinking of maybe, outfitting a few. You're like, look at all my silver clothes that I have.
Let me double check.
We have no gold.
Whether you start with any coin, because you got 2 coin from the last sortie. Because this game encourages you to do your first sortie and then manage the domain.
Surely in exile,
The retinue starts
coins
with
were
2
brought.
coins, so you would actually have 4 coin.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to update that now, so you have more to spend.
I don't know. What do you got? Because
I feel impressive. I think you need to.
Okay.
I agree with you. That's my thought.
I mean, or I could see, I don't know, is this something where the devil might have something for me?
Oh boy.
The devil's bargain there would be, I start a clock that is, if that clock fills, people know that you are in the vicinity of Bellheather. And that would be a 4 clock, and I would tick it once. And it's people you don't want to know.
Okay, Greg, you're making a face. Tell me why I should tell the devil to fuck off.
Because we also want people to know when we're ready to. The problem is that I can already see Mike's gonna be like, oh, you do something. Oh, someone happens to, whoops, I just accidentally ticked the clock, and then we're gonna be like, and the silver, and you're already being like carted off to imprisonment. We're like, wait, what happened to our? That's the thing that worries me. Like it's not, because it sounds good. It's like Splendor? It's a clock. Like how we just don't ever tick the clock. Like I don't know. Because also I don't think we need it, right? If you spend 2 coin, then how many dice are we dealing with? Is that 3 at that point, right? Don't we have 3 dice that you're working with? Yes.
So you get maybe 1 to start.
Oh, so
you
you'd
have
2.
to spend a 2nd coin to get a 2nd die. Alternatively, when you roll the die, you can spend a coin to improve the result level by 1 step, not 1 point on the die.
I don't know. I don't think it's awful. I just worry that it's one of those like, we started the clock and you're like, and then we forget about it until, because everything revolves around you being revealed as, not wait, who's that person over by the outhouse over there,
So it sounds like what actually might be better is just to roll my 1 dice, hope I don't get screwed by it, and then buy it up a level.
That seems pretty reasonable.
That makes sense.
Because, we got a 50-50 chance of it being something reasonably nice, and then I can bump it up even more. All right, let's do it. Let's see if it's
1 die fortune roll to acquire asset for a silver chain.
Oh boy, the dice
So-
fucked me.
That would be a tier 0 silver chain. You can
Okay.
spend 1 coin to take it up to tier 1.
I will spend 1 coin because there's like basically not a point if it's tier 0. Tier
Okay.
1, like at least give me something to work with.
So that gets y'all back to 2 coin from 4, and you can mark a silver chain on your gear. It will be 0 load.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I missed this. What's the difference between the tier 1 and the tier 0 like chain? Like how does it
How
So
impressive
if
it looks.
gear is higher than your tier, it may increase your effect. So if Alex was making a social roll and using the silver chain to impact effect or position,
I gotcha.
I go, oh, okay, well, because that chain is tier 2 and you're trying to convince a tier 2 faction, that is going to increase your effect and maybe bring you up to
I see.
standard where you'd been at limited.
Okay.
If the gear is lower tier than you are, it's going to probably lower your effect in
Okay.
a lot of situations.
So if Ciaran looks like they're wearing like something from a mall kiosk, it's not going to have the same effect as,
Right.
you know, haha, this is the
A
thing.
tier 0 chain is more likely to give you position to do something than a better effect.
Okay, cool. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll go with we'll have a tier 1.
Cool. All right. Unless anyone has anything else, I think we should put together a engagement roll, and then we can go to break after we know what that result is, which will give me a couple minutes to think about what that position looks like when y'all start.
Okay.
So a engagement, is this a deception plan using method of cover, or is it infiltration entry point?
I think it's deception because we got the cloaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's a good, and because they're tier 2, that's going to end up giving you a benefit for that. So engagement pool, 1 die for sheer luck, 1 die for every major advantage, 1 die for each major disadvantage. So a particularly bold or daring approach, we're going to impress the House of Mercenaries by being fighty. That feels like a good, bold approach. You have done recon. So that's going to give you a bonus die there for the 6 that was rolled earlier.
Mhm.
And you're going to get a die for having those cloaks. So you get up to 4 with 3 advantages, but you are going against a higher tier faction because House Gearr is tier 2. So that gets you back down to 3. And I'm going to look at major disadvantage is... I think I'm going to... No, I'll leave you with 3.
Not
Because the things that would... like, there are other things that will make it more complicated, but they're going to be complication. They're not going to make it harder for you to try to gain status.
Okay.
They're just going to raise the stakes.
So we got 3.
So,
Seymour's.
so someone can roll 3d6 for engagement, or you do it as a fortune roll.
Ciaran,
And
this is your call.
Ciaran,
y'all
you.
Great, I get the blame.
I mean, you also do get to delegate.
Silver.
That is
Splendor.
the job.
That's true.
I'm claiming
That's
it.
true. You'd be like, oh, I get it. I'm going to delegate right back to somebody else.
No, it's fine. On my head be it.
Silver.
Oh, wait, no.
Splendor. Silver. Splendor.
2, 5, 5.
See?
So a 4 or 5 means you start in a risky position. So we will lay the scene for a tournament at arms in Bellheather, hosted by House Gearr, with the eyes of Tarv and perhaps some others turned to a bright, crisp spring morning when we return from break.
That sounds good. We'll be right back, folks. Stick with us. Okay, I think if I'm correct, we are ready to go. And so I'm going to fade this awesome music out that you've been listening to. And I'm going to hand things back over to our esteemed GM to tell us how incredibly successful our sortie already was. It was really great. I think it went really well. And I don't think that's how it
surely.
goes.
We definitely succeeded. I
Yep,
don't need to
absolutely.
get into any
Lot of
unnecessary
sixes.
conflict for the rest of the evening.
A lot
We
of
could just
sixes.
go
Yeah,
home.
it was great.
The anti-Shadowrun game version of Forged in the Dark, you do downtime and you do recon and you decide your plan and then you resolve the entire sortie with the engagement roll.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure there's a way to make that really cool, but we're not
Well,
going
yeah, like essentially Forged in the Dark and Fiasco. You get to decide whether you establish or whether you resolve.
Fiasco in the Dark. It's
well,
great.
and Band of Blades from Off Guard Games by John LaBeouf Little and Strash Simovic has secondary missions where it is just one roll.
Oh.
So that's kind of already there. So shout outs to them. I'd like to play that game sometime. It seems really cool. So we are starting in a risky situation. It is a kind of cold but bright spring morning. The ground is fairly but not perfectly firm. The banners of, nearly a dozen different houses wave from tents kind of off to one side of the field. It seems like nearly everyone from Bellheather and others from elsewhere are here, so the crowds are very full. This makes it slightly harder to do all the sneaking around that you were doing, but you did establish through Venner's survey kind of where the forces were going to be. And so the camera follows a large figure in a hat and two people in cloaks who we, the audience, recognize, but others do not. And then yet another disguised figure, and we follow Ciaran up into probably into the stands. Is that good for you, Alex?
Yeah. That would be the logical place for them to go. They don't want to get swept up by anything.
Yeah. So there's a lot of very excited people around you. There are kids like running around in kind of the ground that separates the stands from the kind of wooden fences around the field. So kids playing at sticks, and they're pretending to be knights and things. And there are vendors with food, but there's a little bit of a bristling of the guards of Gearr. And I think each of you in your own way may get a little bit of a twigging of some worry, whether that is the resurgence of things that you've identified previously, or that are things to be concerned about, or just the feel of the day. Lady and Lord Gearr kind of come out and greet everyone to open the ceremonies for the morning.
Wait, is it Gearr or Skane?
I did the thing. It's a game.
Okay, I was like, oh God, that's
Abort,
the thing
abort,
that we noticed was
abort.
wrong.
No, that's
We screwed up. It's time to flee.
That's a little bit much for him. No.
We turn around, Maedoc is like, ah.
Yeah.
It's like
Lady and Lord Ciaran, they're both dressed in basically fancy ceremonial versions of the tunics of a soldier. So they still present themselves as fighters, but this is finery, it is not armor. So it's like kind of a long jerkin, but with a ton of beadwork and metallic thread and things like that. And
I whispered to Rowan, it'd be really dangerous against a tailor.
I just chuckled to myself.
And I think all of the combatants, all of the aspirants are assembled. So you've got the people who are just doing the jousting, people who are just doing archery, people who are just doing melee, and kind of you get to pick where you want to be. So the more joust is the most prestigious thing. So most people who are jousting and doing something else are with the joust. And so it's a lot of knights, some knights errant, some squires, and all of the events have even more entrants than any of you expected. It is going to be a big crowd.
Right.
And Lady Sigane says, those of you who know me know where I came from, know where we came from. We were not born into nobility. We fought and won our names through our prowess. And that is the opportunity I offer you today. Show with strength of your arm, with the keenness of your eye, and with the steadiness of your riding seat, that you are worthy of becoming a sworn sword of Sigane, vassal to House Tarb, loyal to the great Splendour King Maedoc. May his reign be long and peaceful, but not so peaceful that we aren't able to keep our blades sharp. Show your best, honor your competition, because one day they may be your shield woman. They may be the person to keep you from going home to the God of Paths before you would wish it. And it starts.
Oh God, we're so fucked.
It starts with.
We're all gonna die.
It starts with a round of jousting. So basically,
It's a big shout go up first around us, and we're all just like, oh, God,
yeah, like everybody is super bought in.
we're like, great.
Like
That's
this
great.
is this is the institution as it is that you are trying to undermine, right? You know, there's three levels of noble houses: the very local, the regional, and the kingdom level that have all been called. There are, I think, 16 jousting entrants. So there's going to be multiple rounds of the joust. So we'll have some joust, they'll have the archery, some joust, they'll have the melee, and then the finals of the joust. Okay. And then at the feast, the winners and perhaps some others will be invited to the head table to dine with Lady and Lord Sigane. So I think what I would like to hear first is so you have a magical cloak, but you're also jousting. So what does that look like?
Well, I was thinking, I was actually wondering if my assistant Cranel comes with me to this and can be all right. So
yeah, you can't do joust without
that's what I figured.
Staff.
Yeah,
not for a tournament.
So I imagine that what I'm doing with no end of like, this is going to be difficult enough, like kind of slightly cursing at the concept of having to deal with this thing that's going to be around me. But I think as long as I don't need to have the cloak actually hooding me, which that's not going to work, just around me, I think
you can wear it as a wrapped cape.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yes. And so I have Cranel kind of, position it such that when I get up into the horse, get up onto the horse, that it's not going to become, snarled around something or out of the way of my lance.
It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah. I also, I see as I'm kind of, so that's, I think, how I position myself in terms of the way that looks. As I'm getting ready, though, I'm also looking, do I know, have they announced pairings? Like, do we know who's up against whom? Or?
So the first person you're up against is going to be you're not going up against the Man Mountain right away, is ultimately the thing. I
like how you say right away, as if to confirm that the Man Mountain will be your opponent at some
point. We won't deal with that until the mid-season finale,
Be in the melee.
He's in both.
He's in both, okay.
Yep.
He's everywhere.
You are tilting against Conall Faith from House Faith. Their banner is the deer.
Okay.
Nice. Meanwhile, Rowan hears that the Man Mountain is in both the melee and the joust, and just silently acknowledges to themselves how lucky they are that they're not fighting this evening, and then they're just going to spend the rest of they're going to spend most of the time of the actual tournament, trying to gather as much idle information as possible from the crowd every once in a while to see if useful information might pop up.
And I might actually have Cranel. I don't want Cranel to James Bond this up. I don't think I want to make sure that we're not, but I do want Cranel to talk to the other squires, which I'm sure is, the scuttlebutt about, how's your driver doing, right? Like talking to the pit crew, like basically how's everyone doing? And I'd like to sort of gather information that Cranel can would be what I would do.
So I think for the
okay.
joust, I'm going to have you pick, you're going to have the most effect with ride.
Yep. I figured.
And what that looks like is I think if you get a full success, then you advance without a consequence. If you get a mixed success, you advance, but there's a consequence. And if you fail, you go into the loser's bracket.
Okay. Well, I need to not fail, so I'm going to push myself right off the bat. So I've got 1 die to begin with. I'm going to push myself, taking 2 stress, which gives me 6 stress. And then I'm going to, that'll give me 2 dice. All right. Do you have a devil's bargain? Like, the devil's bargain is that Bara is the horse. Like, oh crap.
No, the devil's bargain here.
Greg, you and I are going to be so stressed out by the end of this.
We're just going to be like, I'm going to be seeking out a hot tub to just dive into and just stay there for like, honestly.
The devil's bargain is that the Man Mountain is going to get to tick a 4 o'clock once. That is going to reduce your effect when you face one another.
Done. I got to take this bastard down anyway.
Okay.
Or probably will have to. I'm guessing. I'm actually like that's the big upset, right? Is that Man Mountain lose to Joe the insanely small, like somehow I end up facing it. I'm like, oh great, we never had the climactic battle. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's fine. I'll take that. So that's 3 dice that I'm working with, and nobody can assist me obviously. So this is just unless like as we're going along, maybe like Rowan at the last second can be like the classic, you say this to the person taking the free throw, right? Miss it. Like maybe at the last second you can cause them to ride off their path. But assuming that doesn't happen, then I'm going to have to go with 3. So, all right. And so this time I am doing ride, not fortune. So ride, you said we're in a risky position?
Yes.
All right. Risky, my effect is...
your effect is standard. Do you have a fine warhorse?
No. I have a fine soldier's weapon, but I actually need to mark down. Actually, wait. Why? So 2 boxes means, are we talking about 2 load? Is that?
So a warhorse is 2 load.
Okay. Which means I'm now maxed out on my load. Oh no, because italics don't count for load, so I have a little life.
Italics don't count. Sorry, I skipped the part where everyone selects load. Rebel Crown is a 2-tier load game. It's 5 or 8. If you have 8, you are very heavily armed, and it will inform your position and effect in some negative waves if you're that geared up.
I have 4 at the moment, so that's fine. Okay, so yeah, so that means... So no, I guess I don't have a fine horse, so I would have a...
Yeah, I don't think that the soldier's weapon is going to improve your effect at this moment.
Yeah, it's not a lance or anything. Okay. So, right. So, okay. Risky and standard. And bonus dice would be 2, right? In addition to the 1 from the ride, or...
Push and devil's bargain. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. 4, 3, 4.
Okay.
So 4 is a partial success, right?
4. So you will advance, but I think
your horse dies. Great.
No.
I can loan you my horse. It's fine.
It's fine.
I think the consequence is that you're actually facing the Man Mountain in the next round.
Naturally.
Instead of waiting later, which you could lose that fight and then win the losers bracket and come back to win the tournament.
Or I could win the fight. hey, let's think positively. I could win the fight and take down the
could
man
happen.
who gave me a limp before, and
So yeah, I think you, you win this joust, but it's rough. It's not like you don't cleanly win.
Right.
Like they break some lances, and you put some wear on your horse, and so
rusty.
you're going to be in a desperate position with your next roll, because you're going up against a worse opponent. And the other point of consequence, because risky, is a level 2 consequence effective. And I'm also going to create a clock that is exhausted horse, and I'm going to tick it once.
How many ticks on that?
Frankly,
clock?
relatable.
This is going to be a 4 clock because it is not a fine horse.
Okay. He's a fine horse, but he's not a fine horse. He's fine.
This is
okay.
He's okay. He's a mediocre horse.
A short lifetime worth of following like European tournament storytelling, like joust tournament storytelling is paying off here.
Yeah. No.
So shout outs to the Shire of Maedoc Ciaran, which is where I was in the SCI.
All right. Okay.
So that's the first round.
Great.
The next thing is archery. Is Rowan in the archery competition?
I am not. I am not participating in a damn thing. I am just trying to eavesdrop on idle talk during the tournament. Although I do have I am observing the archery tournament very keenly because I suspect that some shenanigans might be afoot.
Hey, before we go on, Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I want to just throw something out there. So we have on the channel this thing called inspiration
yes.
that we can use. And I'm curious if the chat, it does happen to be the end of the month. And I'm curious if any of my people in chat who may happen to have an extra inspiration sitting around, if that might be able to provide us, let us say, a bonus die to either an archery or melee competition, or let us say a jousting competition against a certain mountainous human being. I'm asking whether that's a possibility.
Absolutely. I think in D&D, inspiration gives advantage, which is a major swing. I think I would be game with inspiration here, giving +1d and improved effect.
Okay, so we have, yes, people were immediately chat was like, "Ooh, did someone call it?" Yes, Dragon Spear. Yes, Echo Alpha. Yes, Hillness. Yes, Jedi Burner. I see some inspirations in our future.
There may be a point at which I say
I know.
That's enough inspiration for one session.
No,
but I would say this is a good time to start using those if people who want to do so.
Who are the two
Clap if you believe in Venner.
I'm glad to.
I basically want to pump up the crowd. No, I want Rowan to win archery too, and Harvest to win the melee.
Well, Rowan is, or they are not.
Yeah, Rowan. I feel like when we got here, in fact, people looked Rowan up and down and was like, "You look like you're here for the archery competition." He's like, "Nope, I'm good."
I mean, I feel like Rowan took one look at the archery competition, and then it was Tom Hardy and Fury Road going, "That's bait.
That's bait."
Very much that, yes.
Also, thank you, Jedi Burner, for the inspiration. So Venner has been inspired. Although, again, if Rowan needs it more, or if Harvest needs it, that's fine. But I will otherwise hold on to it and and be loving to it and pet it kindly.
So let's say between each round, someone can make some move. So this could be Rowan doing some kind of gather information or something else outlaw. If somebody else wants to do something, I think that's probably the way to move the spotlight around. So there's an opportunity for someone to do something before we do the next round of joust. And then after the next round of joust is the melee.
Okay, and Chad has just inspired Rowan, Venner, and Harvest. So which maybe Mike will be kind and will allow one for each person, and that's it, I'm guessing. So that's probably
that sounds good. We'll see how the rest goes.
Okay,
this may be a 2-session sortie because there's a lot of things going on. But,
yeah, that's true. Thanks,
we'll
Chad.
see.
So I will say Rowan does want to gather information.
For sure. What's that look like?
So throughout most of the tournament, I've just been walking through crowds of whoever might be sitting in this stance and watching the event, or whoever might be eating and drinking nearby, just idly trying to hope to like accidentally overhear a thing. But I will also admit that my attention is somewhat like diverted towards the archery section of the tournament and trying to like get some more context about what we had already learned about that part of the tournament.
Sure. And what action are you using to do this?
Right. So I think it would have to be survey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, survey is going to have standard effect if you're kind of looking for trouble before it happens or trying to find openings. It's going to have limited effect if you want to get detailed information about individuals or groups, because study is more directly aligned with that. So you'd have greater effect with study for that type of information, and greater effect with survey for what I described earlier. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
So like, yeah, because that's around the same space as the kind of information that I'm trying to get, either trying to cut off any potential threats to Ciaran as possible, or see if there's valuable information I might get that will give us an upper hand over House Gearr, either in negotiation or in conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what is my position?
So your position will be risky, because the desperate is just for Venner.
Because only I get that.
So risky, and you'll have standard effect to start. Do you have any gear that might impact your effect here?
Well, I mean, I am wearing my cloak, so I don't know how helpful that might be.
Yeah, I'll give you great effect there because it lets you move. It lets you move more freely.
Mm-hmm.
Because people might, even if they notice that the person with that cloak is moving around, they're not going to be able to make those next steps in connecting that to other things that they might know about you if they knew who you were.
Okay. Push myself. What? Yeah, I'll push myself. What's the worst that could happen in a forged in the dark game where terrible things happening takes
Scars help you get more XP.
Yeah, of course. Right. So, and how does this inspiration work in this?
So you can spend inspiration to get plus 1d and improved effect on a roll. But
okay.
You already have great effect here. I think great effect, I'm just gonna give you better information or let you have follow-ups. Extreme effect, I don't know that I have a sense of what that would be unless you have a cool idea of what extreme effect would give you.
Yeah, I have an idea, but I'm definitely not going to burn my inspiration at this point then. I will see if it becomes more useful later on.
So you're still at risky great.
Right, and I burned stress for 1 bonus die.
Right,
I got a 5 and a 3.
5 and a 3. So you see that some of those archers with the better bows seem to all be pretty chummy. They have a similar shooting style, and they are kind of spotting for one another to make sure to shoot when the Ciaran's are watching. So you get the sense that there is a group of archers here who've been given some kind of task, assignment, or something else, and that it seems to involve getting Gearr's attention, or getting Ciaran's attention as the hosts here. They are playing to the hosts.
I want to share this information with Venna. What is Venna doing when that round of the joust is over?
I mean, first of all, I'm probably, kind of checking out the horse. I would imagine I'm not overly pleased with what I've seen from the horse's, like I imagine I'm a little irritated with myself because I feel like that first joust should have been easier, and I'm a little concerned about the horse's stamina overall, so I'm a little worried about that. And then also I'm trying to get some information from Cranel about whether he's found anything else from the squires, about other people that are in the tournament thus far and how they look. So I would say that is basically what I'm doing. Standing next to the horse, trying to get ready, checking out my lance, kind of like stretching it out, that kind of thing, I would guess.
Yeah, I think the consequence for a mixed result on this is you're going to get reduced effect. And so I'm not going to give as much information because there are just so many people. It is physically harder to move around in the space where you want to be, especially while keeping, even the cloak can't do everything in terms of keeping you out of the guard's attention.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
I think you
fair.
have to be especially deliberate and composed when you're doing your sneaking around and attending to who is where. So I will give you one follow-up, but not beyond that, since you did an answer and a follow-up is kind of standard, but you won't get the extra for great. So if you have one other kind of follow-up or a different type of detail that you would like, you would earn that.
I mean, the follow-up that stands out easiest in my mind is, do I recognize the shooting style?
Yes, I think you have traveled enough and you are skilled enough with a bow that with some time and looking at those bows, you can ID them as archers of Avens. And Avens is a town in Whitebeam, which is the holding of House Gearr. Actual Gearr, not me mixing them up. So the archers of Avens are renowned. They are peasant levy, but they are one of the prides of the province.
Okay. And do they have a special coat of arms or anything like that that would be recognizable to anyone else?
I think the badge of the archers of Avens is as an apple pierced by an arrow, because by Avens is the orchards that are renowned, and so those archers have it, but they have it on a shoulder or on the breast, not in a bigger cloak or anything.
Okay.
But the trick there is, this is a Gearr and Sagane thing. So if they are wearing these badges openly, what does that say about any of this political relationship?
Mm-hmm. Noted. But I won't be able to deliver that message to anyone in time. So I guess I just have to keep that information until I get a moment where I can speak to Venna.
Yep. But I think right now Venner is having to get back on the horse, and the Man Mountain's squire is a very high energy young woman who basically revs the crowd up, A Knight's Tale style.
As a hype woman.
Yeah, and basically gets the people in the stands to start pounding and stomping as the Man Mountain comes back onto the field. His horse is huge because he's huge, and his helm is kind of painted brown, and has the kind of like double peak of the mountain that is his augmentation of arms. And so his whole armor, his whole suit of armor is the kind of deep brown of like an unforested mountain. And then there's kind of like the snow peak. And so like his armor looks good. He's big and scary, and he has the crowd at his side. And Venner, I think your leg is aching.
Before we dive into Venner, can I turn to Colm while we're stretching and warming up?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's all good. And just be like, hey, what do you know about Hill Guy over there?
I know that I don't ever want to take a blow from him straight. Glance or dodge if I can. Dodge is better. His sword is as tall as I am. But he has an old wound. Left elbow.
Good to know. Thank you, friend. Hey, what do you say we take him together? I mean, every man for himself out there at the end of the day, but we can clear the field.
My mistress,
you don't want to take a blow from him. My sword's as big as his.
My mistress is would not be well served by the Man Mountain taking the field today. If the opportunity presents itself, we can climb that mountain.
My man. And let's like fist bump him basically, and we're getting ready to do this together.
Yeah, so he fights with a long sword with a fairly long handle and like a pretty punchy pommel.
Colm does? Or
Colm does, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So Colm is like 6'1", not too thickly built, and moves really well. Like he cycles that Hilton pommel of the longsword really well.
Cool. Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, Harvest is like 6'4", 6'5", bulkier than him, but yeah. I think we'd probably make a pretty good matched pair out there.
Yeah, between the two of them, you have a little bit of weight on the Man Mountain, but only just.
Okay. Cool. All right, back to jousting.
Is that left elbow injury perhaps the one that I gave him when I knocked him down, and do I know that?
You know what blow you gave him for sure.
Okay. Because...
But here's the trick. A left elbow is not especially vulnerable in the joust.
It's not, unless... Can I pitch a flashback?
Yeah, what's that look like?
It's a long flashback, though.
Okay.
Let me rephrase. It's not long in terms of how long it takes to tell. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Sure.
And it was after the time that I actually battled him and I received the limp. And after getting sort of healing, the thing that I did was I worked, because I'm guessing that I did this sort of in melee, right? And I think one of the things that I realized about that fight was the fact that this is why I mentioned the thing about like you can't just go straight up against him. My mistake had been, even though I did take him down, I took an unnecessary injury to myself because I was like, oh, look out, let me puff out my chest some more, which is a very Venner thing to do in terms of not ego, but in terms of like, this is the way that Venner conducts himself. But in this particular case, I think Venner would also have the tactical mind to be like, this guy was ripe for the taking if I could have distracted him first. So I think a lot of what I do is the idea of learning to work with a distraction to then bring down sort of fury upon them. And the example that I'm thinking in my mind now is what Harvest did, right? In the first session, Harvest basically brought people down, and then I cleaned up after that, right? What was left over, like Harvest did that work, and then I was like slam, against the tree. So the montage that I would want to present, the training that I would want to present, is my idea of working with like I don't know if it would have been Crane, he probably would have been too young by then, but someone basically working around and basically holding this massive like training dummy essentially and working around the field, and my doing a couple of moves to try to sort of distract. In the jousting instance, what I'm hoping I can do is do something to, and I know this is very hard to do in the middle of a joust, but to essentially make it appear. And if you tell me this is going to make it more difficult, I have to roll a die or something, we'll figure it out, to aim for a particular part of him and then to make it look as if I'm going in that direction, as if I'm aiming for that particular thing, but then change the position of my lance so that I end up going in another direction. I want to see if I can distract him on the horse.
Sure. So almost like you're fainting.
Exactly.
With
well, I know it's not
lance.
easy to do that with a lance, but you don't have a lot of time, but like.
So I think fainting with the lance, you're going to have standard effect if you used sway, and you would have limited effect if you use skirmish.
But and is it true that if you push yourself, you can get a die to change the effect, to up the effect?
Yeah. So you can push for effect or push for a die.
Okay. Because I'm thinking then I could do 2 dice on the skirmish, but push myself and then change the effect. It is gambling that I succeed on the skirmish, but.
Yeah. And so what that looks like is that is going to be a setup action that is then going to improve your position and or effect with the kind of result of this match.
Okay.
And like that's one way to do it. If you want to do the feint lets me win, that's fine, but it's going to be harder to do all at once.
No, I don't mind doing a setup. Although then do I save the stress? I only have so much stress.
Yeah. You do have a very tactically minded claimant who has an ability that lets them give free assists.
Oh, but isn't that gonna break Ciaran's cover?
I would be happy for how did you assist to be something that is also a flashback.
Oh yeah.
I pictured Ciaran like throwing a hot dog from the stand.
Right. Is that Ciaran kind of giving you words of encouragement? Is it Ciaran reminding you of great successes that you've had? Like, because this also lets us bring some spotlight back around to Ciaran.
Yeah, I mean,
because Alex, you do have that move, right?
Yeah, I do have tactician. I was wondering if we could get into that.
Yeah, I mean, then absolutely.
I mean, yeah, like especially if Venner needs encouragement, I would just be like, you wouldn't be here if you weren't one of the most competent people I know. Of course, you've got this, and then be kind of like, I've seen you handle situations like this in the past, doing etc. in the good old days before we both got fucked.
And I think I might. Those were the old days, though, Ciaran.
Yes, and now we're both older and wiser.
And weaker. At least me. I'm not speaking for you.
No, we are of an age, cousin. So, if you are weaker, surely I am as well. So, I would say we are both older, wiser, and stronger, and more cunning.
I would say that this flashback maybe is taking place after I found out that the Man Mountain was actually there. So I probably would then say something to the effect of like, hold on. I say something to the effect of, hold on, my daughter's calling me. 1 second.
Hey, Venner has a daughter?
Wow.
That's a
Big reveal.
Da, da, da!
And then we cut to
Venner's daughter.
The next person you have to joust. It's your estranged
Venner's
daughter.
daughter, the Man Mountain. Wait, how is this? What? I don't even understand. No. So I think I would probably say something to the effect of, because obviously Ciaran knows that this is where I got this limp from, and I'd be like, you realize he's, and I would have already told Ciaran that this is what happened. Like, guess what? The Lavis is here. And I would say, I talk a good game, Ciaran, and I ought to be able to take him down. But it was a near thing the last time, and I didn't make it out unscathed. Whereas him, I don't know, maybe, I know I hurt him somehow, but it didn't keep him down. And he is the Man Mountain. He is who he is.
And you are who you are.
Has been.
What did you learn in that moment?
He can be distracted sometimes, maybe.
Anyone can be distracted if you know the right leverage.
I'll take suggestions. I didn't mean that to be like a gotcha. I meant like I meant
like,
sort of like,
I have a Twinkie in my sleeve. Does he like Twinkies?
No, I think it's something inspiring to. Well, you know how to do distractible things. I think the reason I'm acting a little bit the way is because of what happened in last session, because it really kind of shook Venner up a little bit, that he effed up the freaking trip, up to the north, and like that all got screwed
He's feeling
up.
a little stressed out. It's
yeah,
fine,
I
it's
never
fine.
really got rid of any of it. And I'm just kind of like,
Venner, you carry all your stress on your shoulders. I need you to relax, baby.
You're a little tense.
What you know is that it's all, Venner, you are strong, but there is more than the strength of the arm, is there not? We're not going to, it's like we can't simply walk up to Maedoc and challenge him outright in this moment, because we are not in a position to do so, because he holds a superior position. He has superior strength. So we are going about it in the way where we know we can gain some advantage. That is not so different from your situation now. There is a way for you to gain advantage, and you are stronger, not only because of your skill, but because you are smarter than that idiot. He has a muscle for a brain. He can be distracted. And to do so is not dishonorable in this sort of combat, because part of the combat is with the mind. So you can distract him. I don't know what words you might use, because I have never crossed paths with this person for obvious reasons. I don't know, perhaps words, perhaps, how does he feel about Twinkies? God, I'm so bad at this.
No, actually, when you say that, I think Venner's like kind of with words or with identity, maybe. So now I have a question for the GM. Is it possible that I could basically reveal... Is it possible that I could shout something at the Man Mountain, or something which might indicate to him this is Venner? Like, in other words, I don't want to be like, ha, like, because it's too early, but I could probably...
You say, hello, my name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father.
You killed my right leg.
Is that, do you want to psych him out?
Yeah, because that's the distraction. I think that's what Venner just thinks about that based on what Ciaran just said.
Yeah.
Which is a distraction is basically like, yo, remember who made you fall? Because no one had ever made the Man Mountain fall, by the way.
Like, what did you say to him when you bested him on the field?
When he first fell, even mountains collapse over time. I definitely said that.
Yeah.
Erosion's a bitch, isn't it?
And then he got back up and I was like, well, shit. I mean, maybe not yet.
I would certainly give you standard effect as a setup action using command to psych him out.
Okay. And command. Speaking of command.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God damn it. I wish he was frightened, because then I could get an extra die, because I could use brutal.
If you succeed in this, he will be.
Ooh, okay. All right. So all right. So first of all, this was extremely helpful. I would have gone to Ciaran before, except I thought it would like be during the time, and I was like, I can't. Ciaran, help me out here, and everyone's like, who are you looking at? That I mean, not that person. Like, I didn't want to blow.
I'm just like waving hands, holding up a sign.
You can
Go
do it. Yeah.
Banner crossed out.
Yeah.
Go, nameless stranger.
Yeah, exactly right. Go, person I just randomly might know. Yeah. So okay, that means. But now that I think, based on that, for which I am most grateful to Ciaran, that would definitely give me. Okay, so standard effect. So what? So now my mind is whirling with dice. So what am I rolling then at this point? So I'm rolling.
So
a command or not command to do this?
To intimidate or psych out the man mountain and set your as a setup action.
Right.
Would be desperate standard.
Desperate standard using command though.
Correct.
All right. Desperate standard.
And
All
I'm
right.
helping.
And you get
Desperate roll.
Right.
you would get the assist, which you could take as a bonus die or as improved effect.
Mm-hmm.
And
also note that you have an inspiration available.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes. Okay. So then I would get. So what I would do is I get 2 dice from command anyway.
Mhm.
I would take, and I can't use brutal yet. I'll be able to use say if this works. So
Mhm.
I will take 3 because of Ciaran's assist. And so wait a minute, that's not right. Yes, 3 because of Ciaran's assist, and then I will use the bonus die that I got from the inspiration to up the effect.
Yep.
Does that all make sense?
That's sorry, that was one of those was an improved effect.
Correct. So the inspiration from chat is the improved effect, and
Right.
the assist from Ciaran is the bonus, the extra bonus die, giving me a total of 3 if I'm doing this right.
So if you have inspiration and an assist, you would have 2 bonus dice, and your effect would be great. Right? Because you get +1d from inspiration, because inspiration is a D and effect.
Oh, so I get both?
You do get both.
Okay. So I'm okay.
Make him wet his pants.
Yeah.
So so my position is still risky.
The position is desperate because of
desperate,
the
right.
last thing.
That's right. But the effect is now great.
Correct.
And the total bonus dice that I'm rolling.
2 bonus dice. You should roll 4 dice total.
Okay, so 2 bonus dice. All right, and if I put in 2, it'll already roll the 2 previous, right?
Correct.
So roll
If
4.
you're
Okay.
rolling command with 2 bonus dice.
All right.
Big swing.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Oh, God damn it.
Oh,
Really?
my heart. So that's
Brutal.
2, 3, 1, 3.
God almighty. It's terrible.
So-
Not ideal, but
I think-
still better.
Yeah.
Technically.
Better than what? 4 1s?
Yeah.
I mean, if your effect were standard and you rolled 2, 3, you would have not particularly fared well.
I mean, like, in that situation, I can't push myself further and get, like, stress myself out so I can get $1 billion. Like, I rolled 4, right? Like that.
Yeah. Sometimes the dice just hate
Oh,
you.
man.
D6s are not very trustworthy dice, I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You
Roll
can see how
so-
your resistance rolls work out.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Suck.
on a
I
di-
really resist-
Should have
So-
given you the Twinkie, man. I'm
I know,
sorry.
right, what Rob said. The man mountain finishes the job and actually breaks your leg. This
Right,
is a
so-
Bane moment,
God.
and you all remember what happened later to Bane.
So
right?
Oh,
First-
God.
First, because you rolled desperate, you should get 1 XP in resolve if you haven't already marked it.
Listen to Mike is all like softening the blow. Look, you get some positive
You
experience
do get some
from all
XP.
This is a learning opportunity.
And now we roll that.
Oh,
And
this
next,
is why we have Harvest as the backup.
and next
And
you
I
roll
think-
a resist to see if you just put ointment on your ankle. You have to split your foot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Where's my XP and resolve? I'm sorry, just like
It's-
under playbook advancement, basically. Or?
so the word resolve, look at that and go to the right.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Those
So
little-
that's my second one that I marked. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
So you say that, and it just makes him angry.
Great.
Turns
Outstanding.
And what he does is
green and real big.
He turns 8'3" and is now 500 pounds.
He does this thing that you saw him do to the first person he beat. He leans into the lance and uses it to make your horse's legs buckle, because he puts all of his weight through the lance and all of your weight onto your horse. And I'm going to fill the clock, exhausted horse.
I'm sorry, horse.
This is a consequence. You may resist it. What that would do is it would reduce 1 tick. I would do 2 ticks instead of 3. If you resist, that happens. Your horse will not be totally exhausted. The question then becomes, how much stress does it cost you?
Hey,
So
what's up, Shannon?
that's laying out in specific what the consequence is. You may resist or not at your leisure. The effect of exhausted horse is that you are always going to have reduced effect on ride rolls for the rest of the tournament.
How many rounds are left?
If
I somehow make it through,
if you win, there will be 2 rounds left.
Oh, great. Yeah, well then I have to resist. Except I've got 6 stress already. Outstanding.
So here's the upside. I would let you resist with prowess instead of resolve. So you'd get to roll 2 dice instead of 1.
Right.
But 2 dice on resist, there's a good chance that it is going to cost 3 or more stress, which would give you a scar.
In Rebel Crown, does getting a scar take you out of the scene?
It does not automatically take you out of the scene. This is one of the games where you kind of get a heroic action when you stress out. So let me go find that.
You can like keep pushing yourself, basically.
I think you get 1 more action at increased effect before you are removed from the scene.
I see.
So I think what that would look like is Venner would feel stress, get to make the ride roll with increased effect, and then would be out of the next scene.
So if you get a scar, you can break the mountain's leg so I don't have to fight it.
Great.
So if this is helpful, I'm on this section on crisis and scars in the rule book, if you'd like me to read it aloud.
If you could give me the PDF or the in-book page number to look at as well, that'd be lovely.
In book is page 8.
Great, thank you.
Brahms do eat.
I'm just looking at the available scars and I'm like, obsessed.
So when you fill your last stress box, you enter a moment of crisis, like Darkest Dungeon. Dun, dun, dun. You choose how to react. Take a final action with increased effect before collapsing, or pull yourself together and press on. Basically, if you press on, you can continue to act, but cannot resist consequences or attempt any action requiring a resistance roll. Actions requiring great exertion or willpower have reduced effect.
I have to resist it. It doesn't make any sense to have an exhausted horse for 2 rounds, let alone I still haven't even taken this guy down. So okay. I have to resist.
So you can resist with prowess. So you would click on the word prowess, and it will pop up the resist.
Okay. Bonus dice. Did you say prowess? Like where? So
just the word prowess on the stat line.
I did. I clicked on it. It just gave me bonus dice. But do I have?
I don't think there are any bonus dice unless someone has an idea of why there would be bonus dice here.
There should be bonus dice because I want him to win.
Yeah.
Is that a valid reason?
Blah blah blah.
I don't know. This is where like retinue abilities would be good because it could give you something.
Right is a thing that has been crossing my mind about this game for some time now.
You do get special bonuses from controlling areas, and those kind of become crew abilities, but the one that you have is not for this.
Yeah. All right. So that means it should theoretically roll the 2 dice.
Roll 2 dice, and to not get a scar, you want a 4 or better.
All right.
Five and a 2.
Hey.
It costs you 1 stress.
Wow.
All right.
How do you like protect your horse in this situation? Or
When he,
yeah,
I think when he leans into the lance, I think what I would do. He's holding it. He's obviously right? His right hand, like,
yeah.
So I think what I probably do when he leans into the lance is I feel that, and I allow my arm, because he hits my shield, obviously. I allow my horse's legs buckle, but I basically allow myself, and this is where the stress comes in, to basically essentially almost bounce the lance off of my leg. So the leg that was already in pain, which was my right leg, like I basically take it and I'm like, oh, like as it sort of hits. But that way the horse is not getting all of the weight upon the horse, is what I would say.
Okay.
I might even get a little bit of the crowd being like, oh, God, gosh.
And I would let you take level 1 harm bruised leg and untick that clock one more time if you want to change what the consequence you suffer is.
Untick the clock? You mean untick the stress?
So the exhausted horse is at 3 of 4.
Oh, yes. Then I will
You
take
could-
the I will
you
take
could-
the bruised leg depending on what you tell me bruised leg does.
So bruised leg is gonna, but here, bruised leg is probably worse because it will give you reduced effect on ride
Oh,
rolls.
no. Then we gotta.
Yeah.
I just gotta not
This is a
suck
bad
the
deal.
next time I do
You
it.
have an option.
Suck
But
less
yeah,
is what I have to do.
It
You
hurts.
just got to roll higher.
It hurts a lot, but the horse can still keep going. And now you have to actually win the match.
Okay, now that was all a setup for what I could do now. All right, so command is now no longer part of this. So now we're back to ride. I'm gathering.
I would give you reduced effect with skirmish, and there we would have to describe how your technique that is about the lance and the shield beats him.
Yes, then I would do that. Do you want me to describe that first? Because my feeling is that what I would do in this instance, coming back around, is this is the moment where I'm going to take a guess and assume that his anger means that he is exposing himself a little more than he would normally in terms of that open side. So that if I aim for something, which normally wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but basically aim for the left side of his shield, my right, as I'm looking at it, so that if the lance, if he blocks it and it shivers off, it means it's going into the weakness of his left elbow.
Yeah,
which is
because
holding it
he leans into
Right.
your lance, which
Yeah.
raises his elbow.
Yeah. That's exactly what I would do. So that even if it's reducing the effect still, like
Here's the downside. If you roll with reduced effect,
He kills
you'll
me
have to
immediately. Oh.
you'll have to do another roll to beat him because you will not have full effect.
Okay.
So you'd have to succeed at this roll and then to succeed at another roll at least limited effect to beat him in this round.
Well, but the odds are still going to be better of my doing that, right, than having a very low, like a single die or something
So
with a greater effect, I'm thinking.
You have a base of 1d with
Right,
ride at
right.
standard effect, or a base of 2d with skirmish at limited effect. So that's where you stand.
And a scar happens when I reach 9 stress or 10 stress.
9 stress. So you have 2 ticks left right here.
Yeah.
So when you fill that 9th one,
So the next time I do it, I'm going to get that scar.
Yeah. If you pushed yourself, you would take a scar after this roll.
So, hey, live suing. Okay, I'm gonna take the. I feel like I have to take the 2D. It's a big gamble. Well, it's a 50-50 if I just do the 1D. So I think I have to take the 2D with limited effect, I think.
We could again have someone do an assist in some way. What that looks like, I leave to y'all.
I mean, I've got another assist
Another
I could
Twinkie.
give technically with tactician. I'm not sure what that would look like. Maybe it is deploying the Twinkie. Maybe you need to eat the Twinkie because you need a little more like
Right.
blood sugar to hype you up.
Yep.
I have a very reckless assist, but if it fails, it goes badly for us both. In fact, it potentially goes badly for everyone present.
Oh boy.
What's that look like?
Right. So I have this special ability called Sharpshooter,
Uh-huh.
which allows me to push myself to make a ranged attack at extreme distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking this entire fight that it would be really interesting if I like just took a throwing knife and like severely severed one of the Man Mountain's tendons in the minute.
Oh god, that would piss off Venner so much. Venner would be so angry.
You know what you could do if you wanted to be.
You have the choice between dying honorably and not dying at all, and I don't get to ask you which.
No,
you
I know.
would
No,
prefer.
of
Well,
course,
I
I
was
get
gonna say, if you want to be a little more like covert and subtle, just throw a rock and hit him in the head.
Right, yeah, I guess it could be something that wouldn't kill him. But then, if I piss him off, then Venner's definitely dead.
You could also try to throw a rock that causes the horse to stumble.
Ooh, like
Yeah,
throw something
Because
at the
that,
horse to make the horse
a
shy.
horse kicks a shoe. Like this happens all the time. Like,
Yep.
I mean, jousting is happening like in microseconds.
Yeah,
and tiny things. So
true.
like if you throw the horse off at all,
Yep.
Yeah, I'm probably going to aim for a horse's leg.
Oh,
I like that
ASPCA
we're
gonna be
back
so
into
mad
the-
at you.
No
Back
real
into
horses
throw
were
a hot
injured
dog
in the
over.
making of this session of this game.
it's all CG horses. It's fine.
It's fine.
Right, yes. So I will assist by attempting to injure the horse via sharpshooter.
So you can just spend a stress to assist, and it can express that way. If you push yourself and make a roll, then you would help Venner more if you roll well. But so it's basically higher risk, higher reward. You can just spend a stress.
I will just spend the stress. I'm at 6 stress at the moment.
Okay.
We are all very
So
stressed out.
what does
I only have
like
2.
it's
I'm
going-
pretty good.
I have 0. I'm extremely chill.
This is going swimmingly for I just have to say.
I'm going to write a poem immediately after this entire event is done.
So yeah, I think you can throw his horse off a little with a well-placed but still sneaky like thrown rock or something. It will not have as much effect. And I think you get a little, and the rest of your skill is in doing this so subtly that no one knows exactly where it came from.
Maybe including Venner.
Including Venner, yes.
So you can do that. We'll just rack the stress up. So Venner, you have an assist.
Okay. So, all right. So now we're looking at ride.
Yeah. So you can have.
Right. We talked about this.
You could have 3D at limited effect or 2D at standard.
Well, no, because
if you were doing ride.
Then I think, although God help me, I am not a math person, but I'm guessing then that it makes more sense to do the 2D at standard, because that way there's a better chance. I don't know what the odds are, but it's better than 50% of getting it, at least at getting a partial success, which means I don't have to roll again and try to get another success. So in that case, I'll do that. So I will go with 2. So I'll do ride, which would leave me a total of. So we got ride.
I think you can still use that advantage of like the exposed elbow, but maybe the way we frame that is about how you ride, because you're having to protect a tired horse that is on the brink of is on the kind of the brink of becoming a liability.
Right.
So you can ride really well and win. Like that for me is the difference between using ride and using skirmish.
Gotcha. Okay, so my position is still desperate or risky.
Yeah, because you didn't succeed in that command roll.
Yep. I agree. All right. Standard effect though, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so it will roll 1 die automatically. So I've got 1 bonus die, which is the assist. Okay. All right.
I would offer a devil's bargain that is no matter what, he hurts you. And you take level 1 harm, flare up or injury flare up.
Probably not worth it.
It won't apply to this roll.
No.
Okay.
All right. All right, chat. Cross your fingers.
Dice. Come on, Venner. I want really
Hell
want Venner.
yeah!
Yes.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Hell yes!
Yeah.
So what
A
is it?
5 and a 6. Nice.
What does it look
God,
like
man.
when you unhorse the man mountain?
It's scripted. So he leans that I kind of lean, grunt off the thing. And then, so my arm went down right onto the leg. And so at that point, I badly quote Old Man in the Sea. He took all his pain and his rage and his hatred also and put it into his arm and just up, like basically, almost double-handed, almost throwing myself off the horse to push basically against it. Because he's leaning, which means that his arm goes like this as my lance is pushing up this way. So I basically shiver off of his shield into him, and he gets knocked onto his bad arm.
Yep.
Which immediately decapitates him. No, I'm just kidding. But
Right.
the
So
rest of this is the case.
if you'd had greater effect, I might have done some extra stuff there. But yeah, you take him off his horse, and everyone hears him hit the pitch, and the field goes silent. He was head and shoulders the favored to win, and any of you who are politically acute would know that it looks bad for the kind of the hot shot fighter of the house that is the parent house to Ciaran to be embarrassed in this way.
I managed to restrain myself from going, yeah! Instead, I'm just like, I'm going to
Harvest
get
has
Benner's
no
eye
sense.
and just like, not approvingly.
Harvest has no such sense of decorum, and literally from the side of the pitch in the warm-up area points and Simpson style goes, ha ha.
Over
I
the
think-
hat. And
I
I'm
think
just like,
yeah.
I'm sort of as the horse is sort of winding down, and I'm like, I actually am not 100% sure that I even saw, but I heard the fall, and I just sort of turn around. Is he unconscious?
No, I think he takes the hit, takes longer than you might expect to get up to his feet, takes kind of throws the shield off and storms off the pitch, and kind of his squire, formerly bouncy, becomes kind of skittish, runs to grab it, and then kind of follows at a distance.
Okay.
And
Rowan
your
says
flag
very-
has moved to the next round.
Rowan says kind of softly but loud enough so everybody around them in the audience can hear them say it. Who knew the man mountain was such a big baby? And then gets up and leaves.
The whole party's just dunking on the man mountain now. Is all.
Yeah, I was.
What the hell was that
Kieran's
act like? We took down the man mountain. That's what matters.
Kieran's just going to be like, well, that was hardly the decorum suiting to a warrior.
Yeah. So we were at 11:23. I think we should probably think about wrapping for tonight and do the rest of the sortie in the next session. This has
That was
been
intense.
Wow.
super cool.
I took stress damage from
Damn.
that.
I'm feeling stressed
I'm
out.
so
Taking
proud.
IRL
That
stress
was
damage.
clutch too, Brandon. Rowan needed to hit that thing, get that thing off.
Uh,
Even though Venner has no idea that Rowan
right.
did that, probably. So.
Yeah.
You will never know.
Venner came through in a pinch.
Jesus.
Um,
Finally.
I had no idea that y'all were gonna go this direction. I was thinking well, this is a martial house. They'd be impressed by martial prowess, but that was Harvest or Rowan comes along and one of them spars with one of the Ciarans. This is way cooler. So good job on y'all as being very creative players and figuring out how to put your strengths on display in this, which is very cool. But because I'm mean, I want someone to roll a fortune roll with 2 dice.
Oh boy.
I am
Brandon,
currently
I
riding
learned
an
this from
almost exhausted
watching
horse.
you.
Okay.
Okay.
I know. That's why I'm so suspicious.
I as the Splendor, I will take the hit. This will be
Okay.
my fault.
Okay.
Okay, you want to roll high,
Great.
just so that you know
Thanks.
your magic.
I mean, the assumption of dice is that you want to roll high, Mike.
Right.
Oh my
Like-
god.
They
You know,
tracked
every
your
now and again
Twinkie.
you
They
want
tracked
low,
your Twinkie.
There's certainly the way, like there's one way it's like, oh, it's a fortune roll. How bad is fortune? This is, does fortune smile on you? 6s are good for the retinue,
Okay, cool.
just to be clear, so that we're all.
Now wait, now remember you
Is
have
there a-
Ciaran. Ciaran has an extra. Has a. Didn't Ciaran get a inspiration?
I don't.
If someone wants to spend
think
inspiration,
so.
I would allow that to give a
Because
die
I was
here.
just about to say I would literally have given mine.
Oh,
I will say, someone please save 1 inspiration for me when I have to fight the mountain in melee.
but next month is going to reset anyway. So
Next
that
month
like
will be
Okay,
so
okay.
we for whatever reason the campaigns this month.
I mean, it's
they're not
April
a lot of
30th.
inspirations.
Who doesn't?
That's
who
what I
has-
mean. Like just blow the
Spend it,
inspiration.
spend it.
Like,
Burn
let's
it,
spend
burn it. Yeah.
Just burn it all.
Prince
All of
Justin.
it.
See, Prince
Yay.
Justin
Rain!
is the right person to inspire. So
All
there you
right,
go.
so that is
Thank
a
you, Prince
3 die
Justin.
fortune roll instead.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Prince Justin.
under notes, please write trouble in the woods.
Oh. Now that the Man Mountain has fallen, the redwood tree is here. The woman redwood tree is here or something like
Okay,
that.
now I'm really worried.
All right, now I'm clicking it.
5
Woo!
for
Okay.
1.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's
So
not,
5 is good.
we
it adds up
cut,
to 6.
we cut to the woods, a woodland path north of Bellheather. We are following Drosten, Isbale, and the rest of Drosten's raiders as they converge on a caravan. We see big bags. This is food, and we know that Drosten's raiders need food because they've come out of a winter. So there is a carriage and 2 riders in front and 2 riders in back. So it's a decently defended target, but all of Drosten's raiders is there, minus 2 people who you could guess are staying to guard Aiden. And the raiders fall in, so they some of them are in front, some of them are in back. Drosten kind of throws back a hood with a crossbow and says, "Stand and deliver. It's time to be fed." And out of the carriage leans a woman with dark brown skin, kind of curly hair that is dyed silver, and she shoots a crossbow bolt at Drosten. This is Katrina, a member of the Sluach,
Oh dear.
and
I wanna-
Isbale takes the bolt for Drosten.
No.
What?
We'll see you next month.
What? Rick, the whole time,
was-
Brandon's like,
That was
like,
rude. That was
What
rude.
what?
One, if I have to wait until after all of this is over to have to deal with Katrina, I'll be really mad. And 2, if anything happens to Keely, I'll be even madder.
You rolled a 4. It could have been much worse.
We rolled a 5. It was.
4 and a 5 are the middle results.
Oh, okay. God bless America.
If the roll was a 1 to 3, then Drosten would have taken the hit directly.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to deal with Katrina, aren't I?
Wow.
So this is Katrina, who is leader of a faction of the Sluach, who have basically bought into Maedoc as a way of regaining their reputation.
Oh.
This is great, people. It's all going great. It's all great. But don't worry, though, because I have 6 billion stress and barely beat the Man Mountain. So we're all good to go. And Kieran's, done everything he can to kind of keep me struggling along. And like,
We just made
and now
an
we lost our
ally.
ally. I mean, it's great.
We
It's
just
fine.
made an ally. We had to commit high treason in order to do it. We are surrounded by either people who are apathetic to us or actual enemies right now, surrounded by crossbow bolts and lances. Meanwhile, our good friends are being ambushed by people who they ambushed in the middle of the woods. This is delightful.
It's great. Exactly.
There's
Prince
no
Justin.
way this could
Little
go
light-
badly,
Maybe a
right?
little light treason. I may have committed a little light treason.
So I want
Games
to
are good,
say
guys.
Yeah.
thank you so much to everybody who's watching. Thank you to everyone who gave inspiration to our players.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very, very useful here. This has been super fun. It was 100% not what I was expecting from the session. And that's part of what makes these games very good, because it is the creative result of several lovely brains and not just one. Again, you can support Speculate and help us pay our great audio editor for our podcast episodes at patreon.com/speculate. I am very excited for ArvCon this next month, which Greg will have some notes on. And
Indeed.
as a reminder for me, my name is Michael R. Underwood, he, him pronouns for me. You can find my stuff at michaelrunderwood.com. I have a new Genrenauts novella that is like Mad Max / Apocalypse Worldy, which is really fun. That is out, as well as my space opera Annihilation Aria. And I want to throw to Alex first to give an outro and where folks can find you and your stuff.
All right. I have been your Splendor, Alex Acks, and you can find me at katsudan.net and patreon.com/AlexAcks, where I do like TV recaps and watch terrible movies and apparently drunk live blog Mortal Kombat, because why not? And I have written a book with Space Witch biker mercenaries forming a labor union. That's Hunger Makes a Wolf. And then I've got Steampunk Pirates, which is Murder on the Titania and other steam-powered adventures. So thank you.
Hey, Brandon.
Hi, everybody. I have been your outlaw Rowan Byrne. My name is Brandon O'Brien. My pronouns are he, him, or they, them. You can find me here almost every Sunday as the GM of both the Speculate Blades of the Dark miniseries, The Case of the Sinded Seal, or GMing an actual playtest of my own game, Sound Clash, with an all BIPOC cast, both of which are coming up very soon.
No.
Oh no. Very soon. Too soon.
So much suspense.
Yep.
Cool. So if you're eager to read poetry about the gods of the Cthulhu mythos, asking various Black entertainers for their autographs, that is a thing that you can look out for. And you can find me on Twitter at The Rising Tides. And you can also find my website, brandonobrien.space.
Hey, Brandon, say the name of your collection again, because you roboted out for a minute there.
Oh, no. I suspected that happened. I apologize. The name of the collection is Can You Sign My Tentacle?
Cool beans.
So yeah, and that's upcoming from Interstellar Flight Press.
Awesome.
Yes.
I have been. No, hold on. Sorry. Can you guys hear me? No.
Nope.
You're very, very soft.
Yeah, my headset decided to disconnect and then suddenly reconnect when I started talking. So anyways, I'm back.
You're back.
Hi, I have been Harvest Honeysuckle, the Devoted, played by myself, DongWon Song, they, them pronouns. I am a literary agent. You can find me on Twitter at DongWon, DONGWON. I have a newsletter where I talk about publishing stuff called Publishing is Hard, and that's over on Substack. So it's publishingishard.substack.com. Thanks, y'all.
And Greg, take us out.
Good stuff, everyone. I am Gregory Wilson. I have been the Vengeant barely today. Venner Crace.
What remains of the Vengeance?
What remains of the Vengeant. I actually really had a blast. I have to say, I feel like Venner does come through in the clutch usually, but boy, it's like I could use a little less right on the edge of the cliff, please. Anyway, but I have been your Vengeant. This was a great deal of fun, and I really enjoyed the group working together today. That was great. And I also want to give, as usual, a shout out to Mike as the GM, who did a great job coordinating all of that, and also handled the curveball of doing a whole full tournament in the first place. So great stuff again, Mike, today. I have myself a graphic novel, Icarus, which has been is a finalist not only in the Independent Book Publishers Award, which is going to be in a couple of weeks, but also is just named a finalist in the Midwest Book Awards as well. That's going to be in about 6 weeks. So that's awesome. I'm very excited that that's getting some momentum. And And otherwise, my Greyshade novel, which is the first of a Kickstarter that will be coming out later in the year, but Athos Arts will be publishing that book, and that'll be coming out in the next couple of months. I also am the co-host of Speculate with this lovely crew and of Mike Underwood and Brandon O'Brien, and I would like to encourage everybody to come back not only for this show, which you will see again next month on this channel, and also as a joint event with Speculate, but also, of course, for Case of the Cindered Seal, which is done not only in video, but also in audio form. If you haven't already done so, Mike has GM prep that's going on the Patreon for patrons only. There's other behind-the-scenes stuff that gets revealed behind there. So if you want to see more of this, and like, how do I find out even more about this amazing crew? You can do that by supporting us over at Speculate's Patreon. Otherwise, the last thing I want to mention, I'll let these folks go, is just a quick thing about ARFCon, because it looks likely that both Mike and Brandon will be involved in ARFCon. This is to raise money for the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. It's our 7th annual one. We have raised right around $15,000 over the last few years to support various charities. We're going to be doing it again this year over Memorial Day weekend. We already have 6 companies that have again committed to sponsor this event. We also have Damon Runyon themselves are now building a website for the specific event. You can finally use PayPal to donate, thank heavens. So that'll make it a lot easier for international folks as well. So this is a very big event and a personally important one to me. I lost my mother to cancer, and it's very important to me that we, to support us. And I know so many people have talked about how they feel closer as a community in doing it, and that's what it is all about. So please mark your calendar for that. As I say, Mike and Brandon will both be involved in that event, and that will be happening at the end of next month, May 28th, 29th, 30th, and potentially that bonus day, which would be Monday the 31st. Otherwise, I want to thank everyone for being awesome. This was great. Can we get some love? Thank you to the Speculate viewers, but also for chat. Can we get some loves to the amazing players today? DongWon Song, Alex Acks, Brandon O'Brien, and of course, Mike Underwood as your GM. Thank you, players and GM. This was great, and I'll see you folks soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, all.
All right. Woo! So that was intense. I think that's fair to say. Damn. I have to say, like, I really like Venner as a character. I really enjoy Venner because I feel like Venner is a character that I myself don't like. I'm not Venner, right? But I think that I admire the kind of character that Venner is. And there's a kind of like, the idea of this guy being like, I'm reminded a little bit, this is going to sound weird to everybody. So Predator 2 is a terrible movie, but there's one sequence at the very end of Predator 2 where basically Danny Glover stands up and there's just a bunch of freaking predators around him. And he's like, all right, who's next? And like, that's the energy with Venner. So like getting to the point there where I was just kind of like, I gotta freaking hit the thing with the stuff. And we were able to do it thanks to not just that, but also thanks to the assist from Ciaran. Initially, thanks to the assist, obviously, from Rowan. That thing was clutch as well. And of course, the inspiration from all of you. So that was awesome. And I feel like everyone got a chance to do some cool stuff today. So very exciting. I have no idea how things are going to go down. And that little twist ending at the end, too. I'm like, oh, damn. So yeah, things are afoot in Rebel Crown. But that was a lot of fun. Thank you, Burner. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. Also, one of the reasons I wasn't zoomed out all the way, I don't know if you folks can see, but I now have my Tintin. I don't want to mess up the camera right now, but I have my Tintin that is the Scepter d'Ottokar, which is King Ottokar's scepter. And right behind me is the Black Island, which is another Tintin book. And down there, I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Down there, we've got what right there is L'Affaire Tournesol, which is the calculus affair, which is another one that I have. And a little further, we have my Don Quixote up there. So we managed to get some of this stuff done. So yeah, the paintings are up and everything. So I'm feeling very, very good about this room. It's one of those things, like, I don't know whether you've ever had this experience. Like, everyone always has a thing where they imagine something is going to look a certain way, and then it doesn't quite, like it doesn't quite work the way that they were hoping for. Hello, camera, I'm over here. But then this was an example where like it actually came out exactly how I was hoping. Like, this is exactly what I hoped for, that it would look like this. And having the light effects and everything is just, I love it. I'm just so in love with this space as a recording space, as a streaming space. It's just amazing. So I'm excited because it means hopefully that I'll be able to give a lot of great content to you folks for years to come. And I'm just super excited about it. So yeah, so thank you, Burner. I appreciate that. But also, again, I really want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream. It was a lot of fun, like especially towards the end there. I was just like, dude, I have no idea what's going to happen. I really was worried I was going to be like 1-1 and then I'm going to be like, I'm out, you know, and I don't want to play the I'm a goof character like I had at the end of session 1. You remember, Harvest like threw a bunch of people off a horse, and then I freaking choke slammed basically a dude into a tree because that was the time where I clutched out. The roll was clutched out, and again, this scenario, like Venner is like nope, 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 and then just before the cliff clutches it out. So not necessarily good for stress level, you know, in game or whatever, but definitely good for drama. So that was a lot of fun. If you liked what you saw and heard today, I hope you'll consider following. Just a quick reminder about schedule. We will be back at you folks tomorrow with Neverwinter Nights 2 complete. So if you want to see more, you'll get a chance to see that. And after that, I'll set up a schedule. We will have, of course, we'll have this game. We will have Rebel Crown next month. We will have, of course, Case of the Cindered Seal. We will have Soundclash the Clampdown, which is Brandon O'Brien's amazing game that he plays here. And of course, we will also have the kick-ass and awesome and amazing the D&D crew. So we will have community D&D. We'll have D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. We are going to have Adventures in Middle Earth. We're going to have Esper Genesis. We're going to have Talisman Adventures and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of those, not all of them, but a lot of them are going to end up on that ArvCon weekend as well. So it's going to be a great month of May, and it's been a great month of April. So thank you all for being a part of that. If you like what you saw and heard today, please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, our Discord with !ArvCord, our Twitter with !ArvTweets, and our website for this is arvaneleron.com. Our website for Speculate is speculatesf.com. And please go over there and do check that out, because speculatesf.com, you know, Speculate is what makes some of these things possible. It has been running for a long time. That show has been running for over 10 years now. We started that back in, I started with Brad back in 2010. I think our first recorded show was like January 2011. So we've been around for 10 years, and it's been through a lot. It's morphed through a lot of changes, but I'm proud that I continue to be able to do it. And especially with this great group of people with Mike Underwood and with Brandon, as I say, dear friends, wonderful authors. And so it's really great to have them on board. And if you want to be able to hear, like I say, these audio things, special behind the scenes stuff and elsewhere, access to Patreon only posts, then you should support, if you can, over there at Speculate. Even like $5 can do the job there. So please consider doing that. And that again is !Speculate for that. On the website thing that I mentioned, sorry, just making sure I get rid of that. Okay. Otherwise, as far as this channel is concerned financially, !Arv Shop is the merchandise area. Thank you, Live Suing. Thank you. Yeah, it was Mike did a great job GMing, and the players, we all came together. It was a lot of fun. Alex, DongWon, and Brandon are very experienced, and it's great to have a chance to play with experienced people like that in a group like this. It was a lot of fun. So !Arv Shop is the merchandise area, as I said, which again is a big way to support us and also to get some cool channel swag. Hold on a minute. I think I actually have somebody on somehow.
Sure.
Wait.
So, hold on. I think I accidentally turned on.
How did I get someone?
No, my stupid.
That is really weird. I X'd out.
Roll20 started doing audio. How do I turn that off?
Oh, I think I know why.
Do you know how do I mute myself on Roll20?
Because they were in my Roll20, and now they're not. Okay. Okay. That was funny. DongWon was still in Roll20, and I was just like, where is that coming from? Now we're all fine here now. Thanks. How are you? So yes. So again, shop, !Arv Shop. !Arv Treon is my Patreon, 23 patrons, $205 per month. Really does make a difference to the financial quality of the channel. If you're able to support over there, it allows us to do things like get this awesome camera, get this awesome lighting set up, to pay folks to do introduction videos, the overlay that you saw right here. That overlay, which came to you from Shadowed Mage, is something which is paid for by the amazing and awesome folks who support the Patreon, and of course who subscribe to the channel. So any support that you can give there is much appreciated. Plus, you can get good stuff for yourself, including inspirations to help the players. And boy, howdy, do we make up for lost time with inspirations. For whatever reason this month, inspirations just didn't get used that much because we didn't have as many tests that were sort of like high stakes that we needed at that time. And so we really needed the inspirations tonight. So I'm glad that we had them, and they will, of course, reset when we enter into May. So again, Patreon, !Arftray on there. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel, which of course is really helpful. You can, first of all, get inspirations to help the players. You can also get those custom sub badges and emotes and things like that. On the publishing side, as I've already said, Icarus is my Icarus graphic novel, nominated as a finalist in both the Midwest Book Awards, also the Independent Book Publishing Association's Benjamin Franklin Awards. So we got that going on. Icarus there. Grayshade KS is my Grayshade Kickstarter, which is going to be the place where you're going to find all things Grayshade after the Grayshade book is published by Athis, the publisher for Icarus. They're going to be doing that in the next couple of months, and then the Kickstarter is going to be at the end of the summer, early fall. That is going to cover the next two books, the last two books in the Grey Assassin trilogy, Renegade and Heretic. It's going to cover as well the audiobook by Trendane. It's going to as well cover the tabletop role-playing game being designed by Aaron Rosenberg and being published by Alligator Alley Entertainment, which of course makes sense for Genesis, and also is going to be doing the and designed by Aaron Rosenberg, and the board game, which is going to be published by Clarion Game Studios, and which of course was designed by Dylan Bertolo. So very exciting, big project, and that again is happening late summer, early fall. Grayshade will be out in a couple of months, and again that's coming to you from Athis Arts, which did Icarus. And last but certainly not least in that score, Library, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, all available already at digital in digital form at DriveThruRPG. That is my 5e adventure and source book. And as soon as it gets off the customs dock, where it's been for over 3 months now, it'll be distributed to folks in physical form who got it in Kickstarter, and then will be available to everyone to buy physically as well. So yeah, definitely check that out. Last but certainly not least, as always, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the importance and significance of Black lives, never more important than right now, and Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when they need help, and to reach out to others when you need help as well. Now, with all that said, I think that we are going to do a raid today because it's not super late, and we have people that we can support. So let's see what we got out here. Oh, well. I have not had a chance to raid this person for a while, and now I'm going to get a chance to do it. So that's great. Okay, I know exactly who we're going to raid. When we do a raid, it's very simple. If you are not a sub, you are going to do this, which is the Arvanauts Have Landed, followed by Twitch raid. You can just cut and paste that if you want. Just make sure that it says lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, you're going to do this, which is Get Hype. That's Arvany Hype. The Arvanauts Have Landed, and then Twitch raid again, and then Arvany Roar, which is ARVANE, all lowercase, uppercase R, lowercase OAR. And then you can throw in any others of the emotes from here that you want. Arvany Witch, Arvany What, Arvany Woe, Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, Arvany Pipe, as I said, any of those Arvanys, that would all be lovely if you could do that when you were brought over auto-magically to the place where we're going to go raid. I want to thank the wonderful mods today. Thank you to my mods who are the best in the business, Dragon Spear, Jedi Burner, Rock God, Shadowed Mage, and Triffity Mats, and thanks again to Dragon and Jedi for the inspirations tonight. Thank you also, as always, to the wonderful subscribers, to Dragon Spear, Jedi Burner, Rock God, Shadowed Mage, Triffity Mats, Echo Alpha, Brahms, Crit Twitch, Live Suing, Mrs. Dunsel, Prince Justin. Thank you also, Prince Justin, for that inspiration. That was pretty clutch. Thank you as well to all the Patreon supporters in that group. It really does make a difference. Thank you as well to the wonderful viewers. Thank you to Black Fury. Thank you to Bloodluster. Thank you to Broke My Stream Deck. Oh no. Thank you to Dark Sky. Thank you to Gigafrost. Thank you to I Can't Control It. Thank you to Light and Passion, to Nonstop, to Service, to Stygian Sticks, Tauntoms, Turbo Tango, of course, you Christensen, V&K, and Wenchkin. And special thanks tonight, of course, to the Speculate viewers and listeners, and of course, course, our players. Thank you to Alex Acks. Thank you to DongWon Song. Thank you to Brandon O'Brien. And thank you, of course, to Mike Underwood as GM. That's going to do it for me. Please stick around for the raid. I will see you lovely folks tomorrow for some Neverwinter Nights 2 complete in the first day of May. May Day will be upon us, and May Day will be a Neverwinter Nights 2 complete day. That's it for me. Thanks, everyone. Much love, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye for now.
It's more cold this time of year. The sun is hidden far from here. I wonder how I might atone. Whoa, it's been a year since I left home. The wind is blowing faster now. I'm searching though I don't know.